on Countdown to Green, presented by Wendy's. We take a look back at all the action from Charlotte. We talk with former champions Casey Kerwin and Ryan Luza at XSET. And we take a look at how you're racing at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible.
Hello and welcome to Countdown to Green. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and we're at the Wide Technology Raceway. I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. Joining me, as always, we have Blake McCandless. And wait a second. Do we have someone here on vacation? Alan Cavada, where are you?
Well, look, NASCAR gets one off week a year, and I had to take advantage. So I'm on vacation, but joining everybody from the great Hawaiian island of Oahu. But I couldn't miss this event, right? The season rolls on here in eNASCAR. Gotta love it. I love being here with you guys.
We love it too, but you're making us just a little bit jealous, right, Blake?
Very much so. Very jealous I'm not in Hawaii right now. But again, glad to be here tonight, nearing the halfway point. A lot of desperation, I think, starting to set in for these drivers. Should make for a great show tonight.
Yes, desperation is setting in. But before we talk about tonight's race, you know how it goes. We got to go back and talk about Charlotte.
Race car down and in. It's Garrett Lowe's field to control as they roll to the restart zone. Let's go racing at Charlotte. 14 car sideways and into the grass. Joey Brown comes back. It's a huge crash at lap 47, and our second yellow of the night is out. As things stand, could be the final trip down pit road tonight. It is wholesale service for everybody. Fighting for the race lead, Casey Kerwin has caught, and he's going to go underneath Corey Vincent in a battle for the race lead. Only 14 laps to go this next time by, and for the first time tonight, Casey Kerwin, top of the scoring pylon. He leads at lap 87. Mola is trying to hold off Casey Kerwin, who gets sideways off at turn 4. It's a good job of saving that race car. And look at this, it's allowed the two of Corey Vincent to join back in. Here comes the 97 to the inside. Matt Busa gonna go 3 wide for the race lead, and Busa takes it in turn 1, but for how long? Here comes the 95. Kerwin punches back. Molas to the inside. 3 wide again, and it's Casey Kerwin who gets the lead to turn 3. Here comes Minter. Mullis shuts the door to the inside and they wreck it into the wall. Kerwin up top. Mullis came across the nose, and first and second crash with 3 laps to go. Garrett Maines to the outside. Green flag in the air. 2 laps to go. And the inside stack it up hard. The race leaders, though, going to make it off to turn 1. And the 12 car on the outside. Maines is right there fighting for the race lead. Tucker Minter, though, serpentines down the back. They're wrecking behind, but your race leaders, home free to 3. Maines now, Shotch is on. He'll throw a shot to the bumper. Minter gets sideways, boosted to the inside for second, but it is the twice as lucky for the 33 car as Tucker Minter. His second win of his rookie campaign comes at Charlotte.
And Tucker Minter wins his second race of the season, bolts him right to the top of the playoff standings, along with Michael Conti, Casey Kerwin, and Bobby Zielinski. But looking at this top 10, 3 rookies already in the postseason. This rookie class has been exceptional this season, along with Lopez Jr. and Cozy Jr., as well as Garrett Maines and Matt Busa. When we talk about points, they are just on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoff standings. But also we have to look at relegation as well. These drivers looking to try to keep their way in the top 20, 16th through 25th, separated by just 20 points around that cut line. It is close for these drivers fighting to try and keep their spot in the series next season, Alan.
Yeah, we can't forget about the team standings either. We look at the team standings now. Team Dillon Esports still getting those great finishes on top there, getting much of a lead. William Byron Esports, Junior Motorsports right there, 1, 2, 3, front row there, tied for the top 3. But look down there in 10th now. Pittsburgh Knights jumping up 4 spots in just that one race, much thanks to the Corey Vincent top 5. Pittsburgh Knights, new here in the Eaton Coke Series. It's good to see them having some success there because there's still plenty of pride on the line of those team standings.
Yes, we love to see the success, but as Blake mentioned at the top of the show, there was a little bit of aggression as well, like a lot of desperation. So, Alan, do you think that led to some of the aggression in Charlotte?
Absolutely. Blake mentioned the aggression. I thought there was too much aggression from Jimmy Mullis. And I know it was only 3 laps left. I know he was leading the race, but Jimmy Mullis has to win. He is outside the top 20 right now because of the wreck that he sort of forced. Again, I know it was 3 laps left, but if he just waits a few more laps and makes those moves on the final lap, he's still in position to win. You can't do that if you can't finish the race. A little too aggressive with 3 laps to go because he had the best car, should have won the race and didn't. That has you thinking about what could have been.
Yeah, it was definitely a battle, Blake.
It certainly was, but the one thing that did happen is, yes, he got aggressive, but that's because we probably saw the best battle that we've seen for the race lead in series history. Again, it was about 12 to 13 laps that these drivers were door-to-door, side-by-side, and yes, in the last couple of laps, maybe you rub a couple of fenders, maybe you lean on each other a little bit, but this is stock car racing. You expect that, and honestly, I was just so impressed between Jimmy Mullis, a former series winner, and Casey Kerwin, a former series champion, and the show that they put on for the fans and for everybody trying to go for it all. Of course, it meant a lot more to Jimmy, who needed that race win, but I have a feeling he'll be back soon. And again, I think just as fans, we need to appreciate when we see great racing in this series, and that's exactly what we were treated to at Charlotte last week.
Yeah, definitely great racing. You said Casey put on a show. I think we all agree on that. And speaking of Casey, XSET's, I think they're pretty happy, rounding out the top 10, and then with Casey in 3rd right now in the series. So why don't we check in with XSET and their drivers?
XSET's just a great org. I love it's a gaming org. I play a lot of games other than iRacing, a lot of games that they're involved in, so it's super cool to be involved that way. And we came a little bit short of getting the team championship last year, so it'd be kind of cool to get that with Casey. I mean, he brought the championship home, so that's great, and I've got to win every year for them. But yeah, another championship would be great.
It's just been a super fun 2 years. Esports orgs bring a lot, just kind of a different view of things compared to kind of the traditional other teams, and it's been a lot of fun with everyone. Obviously, they have a lot of people, across the realm of esports. To get to know those guys, it's been cool. And obviously, we've had a good 2 years, and just figured we'd keep it going and try and keep building on it. Yeah, probably winning the championship for sure. I mean, everything kind of, not even just from that year, just period, kind of everything. That was my 5th season, so kind of everything leading up to that, everything making it to begin with, 5-6 years ago, whenever it was. Just all the people you do it with, everything too, kind of everything comes rushing back after you win. Everything just kind of came together, and obviously for me, being local, had family and friends there when I won. My dad, obviously, my neighbor who actually got me into iRacing now 11 years ago, he was there, so it was super cool to just share it with everyone that was there, and it will definitely be unforgettable.
I think 2021 was actually a really good year for me. I just kind of got unlucky and didn't make the playoffs, but last year we really struggled. But I don't know, it's just hard. The series has gotten so much more competitive in these last couple of years. It's really hard to stay on top of everything. So I've got a lot of new sim upgrades coming in, so hopefully that kind of helps. It's just got to put in all the effort that everyone else is putting in to stay competitive with all these guys. Definitely short track racing. I hate the super speedway stuff. I think it's just like kind of a lottery, but short track and intermediate stuff, I like basically everything. Just keep me off of the road courses.
I love road courses. Especially over the past few years, I've really fallen in love with road courses. I really want to win one. I felt like I had a couple shots last year. I'm not really the greatest in the qualifying aspect of road. I kind of am about like 5th to 10th, but in race pace I feel like I'm a bit better. But it's just so hard to kind of move forward after that. So Mitchell's gone this year, so hopefully that'll help us a little bit, have a shot at a road course. The oval is obviously a bit more crazy in the racing aspect of it, being around as many cars as you are, which is also very enjoyable, but pure driving and ripping around a road course, you can't beat that. So.
No secret. I think everything is just hard work, just like in real life, just like anything else. You got to put in the effort, and it'll pay off.
I don't know. Hopefully more of what we had last year. I guess I feel like the way I race, I don't think I have the most like outright pace compared to a lot of people, but I think I race really well. So hopefully I can put myself in good places. I think I just kind of pick and choose my battles well, and try and put myself in the right place at the right time, and hopefully I can do more of that this year.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Love seeing when we get to check in with the drivers and their hopes for the series this year. My hopes for the show tonight is seeing some pretty good rigs, and I feel like we're gonna do that because it is time for Logitech Tweet Your Rigs. This is where we get to see your rigs at home, and really it just makes us jealous all the time because y'all are just so good at putting together a nice setup. So let's see the first one. We have Adam Smalley. This is really cool.
Well, this is ripe and ready to go with the telemetry and everything already sitting in a test session. So he's ready to get after it and find some pace.
Yeah, I'm loving it. And the natural light. I love when you're like next to a window too. Our next one is Josh Lavalley.
Yeah, look at this one. Very clean setup. It's got Blake's favorite wheel there.
Yes, the Driving Force GT.
Very cool. I love the setup, but I love the old school golf ball shifter. When in doubt, do whatever you have to do to make that thing hum, and a golf ball shifter will always work for you, Blake.
It definitely will. And an interesting way to mount that monitor for that rig to the wall. So very nice setup there. We go to the ultra wide here with Mark. Another pretty clean setup, and kind of has some Corvette themed accessories. If you looked around, I think this is a pretty nice one. Even got the Michelin and Mobil 1 stickers on there, feeling very official. It's a nice one.
Yeah, I love that. And then you got this, what is that, a triple monitor? I'm looking here, Matthew Hall at M_Hall 34. Older wheel setups, got the triples though. Very clean desk. Is mounted on the wall, cable management there with the power strip you can see down in the corner. So everything clean here. Clean to me is nice. I like organized because the race is chaotic enough. So I like a clean setup.
The mood lighting is what it is for me. I love the mood lighting. Our next one is Nito? Ooh.
I hope that's the right way to say it, but another endurance racing setup here. I got the Sim Magic pedals down there. Really nice wheel with all the buttons and everything fancy you need. And one of those large extreme seats that he has right there. It's definitely going to surround you a little bit, but nice compact. The screens are pretty close though, but it's very immersive.
Well, when you're going high speeds, you need that head support, right?
Yes.
That's what that's providing there.
Check out this one, back on the desk, Sim Racing Sam, ultra wide monitor, gotta love that. Nice old school die cast in the corner, you can see it down there. So I like the nod to the in real life stuff. Cable management been pretty good. I don't see any cables there, so anything not in the way. I like the old desk setup. Remember, that's all you need is a desk, a monitor, a wheel. Maybe not even that, just to participate. Yeah. I love all the stuff this week, all the rigs we get to see.
We love it. I feel like Sam's like a magician, just disappeared all those cables. Be sure to show us your rigs at home by tweeting at iRacing. Use the hashtag eNASCAR because we do love to see how you enjoy the sim at home. Speaking sim, let's speak the opposite of sim, IRL. We got to see some at-home setups, so why not take it to the tracks in real life, Alan?
Yeah, we know how busy our drivers are, but they're also busy in real life meeting up with each other. Check out this. This is cool. This is from Lee and Sheen's Twitter, because several of current and former Coke drivers got to meet up at Wide Technology Raceway in real life, where we're racing tonight. During the meetup, they went go-kart racing. They're always competing against each other. You can see in that picture Donovan Strauss, Brandon McKissick, Steven Wilson, some former drivers as well. So it's always cool when they're getting together outside of our week or Tuesday nights.
One of the great parts about sim racing is those relationships that you form outside of the sim as well. But of course, looking at Donovan Strauss, we saw him in that latest photo as well. He's been running the Legends cars at Atlanta Motor Speedway for Thursday Thunder. Won a couple weeks ago, finished second last week. He's currently in the points lead through 2 races, and he'll be racing through July 27th. So shout out to Donovan Strauss, been ripping around the quarter mile at Atlanta Motor Speedway and doing a great job so far.
And now let's head up north. Ryan Doucette been tearing up the modified series. Check this out. 9th place at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Then he follows that up with a 6th place at my home state of Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut. And then finally a 3rd place this past weekend in Monadnock, back up in New Hampshire. I mean, it's just so cool. So cool to see that 9th, 6th, 3rd. I think a win is coming, Blake.
I think it is, and how about some wreck avoidance here? A nice little look there as he's able to kind of go through the grass, cut the grass at Stafford to avoid any further chaos. But it's not just the drivers that get after it. Tyler Hudson, Coke Series competition director and former series champion, was out with his dirt late model this year, racing in the 602 class at Jackson Motor Speedway in Mississippi. Brought home his first win of the year recently, and of course, good to see everything that iRacing's taught him as it's a nice little track to rip around here in this dirt late model.
I know, it's just so cool to see our drivers going on the track in real life. And speaking of Tyler's been up to a lot since his championship win, so we got a chance to check up on him and see exactly how he got behind the wheel IRL.
I remember in 2013, the rider at iRacing contacted me that year. You're getting up there on age, you got a family, you probably need to win a race or win the championship now. This is during an interview. I'm like, you know what? Thanks for reminding me, but luckily we went out there and we won the championship. Yeah, it was a really cool experience. I got to do a lot of cool things after that because of that championship, which ultimately led to a position here at iRacing. So I grew up going to the local dirt tracks here. When we won that championship, I decided I was going to take some of that money we earned and go buy a crate late model. Ran it for most of the year just to get experience, and we didn't have any money other than the money we won from the championship. And it was a lot of fun. I gained a lot of good experience on trying to make what you have work, you know. So when you have that competitiveness, the bug just never really goes away. I mean, obviously taking a job here at iRacing, I can't compete at that super high level anymore, but I always still have that burning in me to do something like that. Next option I had was maybe try something again in the real world. So I got with a buddy of mine here locally, and we talked about it for several months. Just if we're going to do this, let's do it right. Let's do something we can afford. Let's not overstep ourselves and just put all our effort into it. And so we came up with that idea. We got with iRacing as well, told them what our plan was, and they wanted to help out. So we went and did it, and it's been so much fun to race in a car that's competitive. It's the first time in all the racing I've done that I've won in real life after winning so much on the sim. It meant a lot to me to win a race in real life, to win on the real track, and we've just been successful with it, and we run good every week, every race we run. Yeah, it's been really, really fun and really cool. I think it's always easier to translate from the sim to real than getting somebody that's really successful in real life to the sim. You can do it. It's a little bit easier transition, I feel like, to go from the sim to real world. We can get pretty darn close, and I feel like we have with what's out there right now. And I mean, from my steering wheel movements, my pedals, my mentality in the race, everything is spot on to what I'm doing in real life now with iRacing. I love seeing this series grow. I love seeing where it's going, where it's come from, the history of it. It's really neat. I mean, it's just like the real world from its infancy to where it's growing to. I mean, we see that stuff happen all the time in real life, and it's happening with sim racing, and it's cool to be a part of that for sure.
I feel like every episode of Countdown to Green, we're just celebrating the wins that all the drivers are getting from sim to real life to sim again. And that's what we're seeing right now with Casey Kerwin. Another huge esports on iRacing is the Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. And you get this super, like pretty much an all-stars component to the series where content creators and guests are invited to race. And who's a bigger celebrity than Casey Kerwin himself? I mean, he's just been doing amazing. And Alan, you have Casey on the line to talk about this cup, right?
Yeah, he's joining us now because the guy never wants to stop racing. Right before he's about to go green tonight at Wide Technology Raceway, he's joining us here to talk about how he whooped up on all the All-Stars in the Porsche Series. Casey, first of all, thank you for joining us. Tell us a bit how you got involved with the All-Star Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Series and how you did there.
It was just a fun opportunity to race with a bunch of other streamers, content creators. People like Matt and Quirk are people that I've kind of messed around with before in the past, but also just everyone else that got involved, especially people from like the YouTube side and stuff like that, like Jardier and Basic Ollie and Dave Cam, guys like that I haven't interacted with. So yeah, it's just a very fun series when it's a bunch of content creators just having fun and messing around, really. And yeah, I had watched it in the past before I got invited for like the back half of last year, and it always looked fun. So when I got the invite, I was glad to partake, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And for all of us that didn't know, we could see it's a completely different kind of race car. So what's the most fun part of doing a series like that for you?
To me, it's more fun just with the racing and all of it, and obviously there is a championship involved with it too, so that's cool. But it was just fun, running all the different cars and kind of changing it up every couple weeks, kind of different styles of racing throughout the season. So yeah, to be up there the whole time was a lot of fun, and obviously I think really I was just more consistent, didn't have many big issues, which is where points gap really came from. So yeah, it was it's cool for sure to have another tag, which is sick, and we'll rep it proudly.
Hell yeah, you know something about winning championships. That final race, though, you had a lot of competition from your fellow eNASCAR drivers. What was it like once again competing against them in a different series?
Yeah, that was cool. I know, obviously, Parker White, he does a lot of road course stuff with Apex Academy. So he does, I think even technically he really does more road than he does oval nowadays. So I knew he was going to be super quick, and Boost has done a lot of road stuff in the past, and I don't think Conti does a lot outside of the NASCAR stuff, but he's very good at it in the NASCAR stuff, so I knew he'd be quick, and yeah, it was cool. I think we were like 1, 2, 3, 4 in practice, and I think I was the one who screwed it up in quali and was only like 5th. But it was fun, and the racing was pretty drafty, so I felt like it kind of suited our styles a bit at Monza, even though we were doing the normal layout of Monza and no chicanes flying through them at 180 or whatever we were doing in the NASCAR stuff. But yeah, it was good brawls, fun times were had, and yeah, I thought it was a really good race.
Yeah, good stuff. Congratulations on yet another championship. Blake, Camille, it just seems like you could put him on like an e-tricycle or an e-rollerblades and Casey Kerwin would just win. So he can win just about anything.
He could win about anything, but we got to talk about what are the chances of specific drivers in the series winning at the raceway today. Blake, let's talk about the trends.
Yeah, let's have some trends for Wide Technology Raceway. Of course, it's a track that we haven't visited often in this series. In fact, it was just 1 year ago we came here for the first time in series history, along with the NASCAR Cup Series. And Graham Bolin, of course, was the winner of that race on his way to the Championship 4. We did see a lot of different leaders, though. It was 4 drivers that led at the front of the field. All these guys pre-race talking about track position, how important that's going to be with the different strategies and how these things cycle out. We were able to see 4 different leaders. And, of course, I mentioned earlier, it was Graham Boland that was able to win that race. But looking beyond just this racetrack, the month of June has always been a very interesting month because we're often on the road courses. You see a lot of drivers like Bobby Zielinski, Mitchell DeYoung in the past. Of course, you see Keegan Leahy winning there. We have not had an active driver sweep the month of June. And of course, we have this race at Wide Technology Raceway, and we'll go to the Chicago Street Course in a couple of weeks. So interesting to see whether that trend could be broken tonight. Only one driver has ever won at Charlotte and then won the next race in this series. And again, we have to go all the way back to 2010, that car of tomorrow, Chevrolet, even the old Pontiac Solstice pace car in Richard Towler, the initial series champion, was able to accomplish that feat. And who knows, if we get it today, it would have to be a repeat by Tucker Minter to get that done. And of course, in 4 of the last 6 years, Bobby Zielinski has won a race in June. We just talked about road courses. Nobody better to win at road courses. You could see him winning at Sonoma. He was able to do it at Pocono a couple of years ago as well as Pocono, Sonoma, all these different races. Bobby Zielinski definitely one to be reckoned with in the month of June and would try to get his 3rd win tonight if he can. But let's go ahead and take a look at Wide Technology Raceway tonight. As we look overhead, long straightaways here and very unique and different corners. Just 11 degrees of banking down in turns 1 and 2, a very narrow groove at that end of the racetrack. Long back straightaway all the way into turns 3 and 4, which you can see much longer corner, much less banking in that end of the racetrack. And with these next-gen cars and the 5-speed transmissions that they have, we should see cars shifting 3rd, 4th, perhaps even all the way up to 5th gear. And of course, Graham Boland was your winner last year for this track that opened in 1997.
All right, well, a lot to take in. I hope we all considered these trends in our picks. Let's kick things off with Blake.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and start with a driver that I think is on a redemption from last week. That is Jimmy Mullis. He was up front at Charlotte. He is so successful at New Hampshire and at flat racetracks like this. I think Jimmy Mullis, after last week, he rebounds, he wins. Maybe he gets into the top 20 in points, who knows? But nevertheless, I think Jimmy Mullis from Midland, North Carolina goes to victory lane tonight.
You kind of glossed over my massive points lead, Camille, so I'll just say I'm going to hit it straight down the fairway. It is a sure win with Kerwin. From North Carolina, Casey Kerwin wins tonight and/or gets a great finish and just propels me to yet a championship amongst us 3. That's what happens tonight, Camille.
Kerwin.
Yeah, he did. He did bring the dad jokes. And you know what? Kerwin may win, but your dad jokes are definitely not. Going for Nick Ottinger, hoping that he could just bring me some points, please. I need them. You know what? I'm rooting for Blake too. At this point, I'm rooting for everyone but Alan.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, Alan.
It's lonely at the top. That's what I'll say.
Well, you know what? At least you get to be lonely on the beach because Nick Ottinger is actually our pole sitter right now. So we're going to be watching this race closely, and I know all of you at home will be as well. Ooh, I cannot wait, Alan and Blake. This is going to be a good one. So
it will be. I love this track.
Yeah. All right. Well, get ready to lock into your screens because Countdown to Green, presented by Wendy's, ends now, but the race starts just after this.
I need to try it first.
There's your biggie bag. All that food for $5, that's my go-to.
Ooh, that's my ride or die.
Just like you and me. Bag boys. Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
You can always bet on Biggie. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag.
This is our series, where the stakes are always higher, where virtual meets reality. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, look at my shine with the glow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like ball. Time's right, and I know the see us walking in a long night. Promise you won't wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high time. Might drown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you wanna play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Don't step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
$300,000 is through the land of Lincoln, where tonight from iRacing's virtual Worldwide Technology Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to race 10 of the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And happy that you're with us, as always, on a Tuesday evening alongside Blake McCandless. My name is Evan Pasoko. Blake, with every passing week and one step closer to the start of the postseason, but I think really the story so far this year, you guys talked about it on Countdown to Green, repeat winners. We're starting to see multiple drivers rack up 2 wins apiece. It is a toss-up in terms of the championship, but all those repeat winners means that points battle to get into the playoffs that much more exciting.
You make a really good point, Evan. The fact that we're this far into the next-gen era, we've circled in on teams, on drivers that have really figured out this race car and are using that to their advantage to get those repeat winners. But again, that just opens the door for consistency to matter. Every point, every position mattering for someone further back in the field. So I know wins are important, and you can definitely lock your way in. But as we continue to move through the next handful of races to the postseason, that is going to be the one thing we'll have to watch for. Who can point their way into the postseason?
Plenty of opportunity to do so, and again, a chance to maybe win your way in right here tonight. Let's go trackside and take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid as we get set to go racing for the 10th time this season. And on pole for the 2nd time this year, Nick Ottinger for William Byron Esports will bring us to the green flag. He'll be alongside the Williams 55 of Vicente Salas in P2. Row number 2, we'll see the Elliott Sadler 27 to Cody Bias alongside the Rise Esports fueled by Sunoco 46 car of Jimmy Mullis, and then Keegan Leahy on the inside row number 3 for 2311 Racing alongside the Stewart Haas Esports number 10 of Stephen Wilson. Michael Conti going to be on the inside of row 4, his Jeter Motorsports number 8 Chevy going to be alongside the Team Dillon Esports number 3 of Jordy Lopez Jr., and then rounding out your top 10 starters, the Charlotte Phoenix 48 of Grant Boland, and the 2nd Williams Esports entry, the 51 of Donovan Strauss.
Rookie Michael Cozy Jr. for Front Row Motorsports will start in 12th. Steve Letart's Brandon McKissick, car number 36, will roll off from the 12th position. Starting 13th for Tony Kanaan Esports, it's Parker White. With 14th starter for Jim Beaver Esports, it is Garrett Lowe. The other Stewart Haas entry and Dylan Duval will start 15th. Caden Honeycutt, representing RFK Racing for Brad Keselowski, will start in the 16th position. Wyatt Tinsley, Kansas City Pioneers, will start in 17th. JGR's Bobby Zielinski will start in the 18th spot in car number 18. Tyler Gary, the other Tony Kanaan Esports entry, 19th. And Corey Vincent for the Pittsburgh Knights will start 20th.
Halfway home, we'll meet the Team Dillon 33 of Tucker Mincher on the inside. To the outside, the Charlotte Phoenix 43 of Femi Olat. That's going to make up row number 11 tonight. Row number 12 going to be the Front Row Motorsports 34 of Alan Bose. And repping the set on the outside of row 12, the 4 of Ryan Luza. Lucky row 13, the 2nd Elliott Sadler entry. It's the 1 of Derek Bordeaux. He'll be alongside the 2nd of the Brad Keselowski entries, the RFK number 6 of Timmy Holmes. Row number 14 tonight, you'll see the FGR Excel E-Racing 12 of Garrett Maines, the JGR 54 of Daniel Falkenham, and then 29th and 30th on the grid tonight. How about Derek Justice and Malik Gray? A little bit of work to do.
Row 16 will be the row of eRacer with Landon Castle and Parker Kligerman's entries and Colin Keister and Colin Bowden starting 31st and 32nd respectively. The other 2311 entry and Michael Guest will start 33rd. And Junior Motorsports' Kevin King will start 34th. The rest of the grid did not take time in qualifying with Casey Kerwin, Zach Novak, Dylan Alt, Matt Busa, Joey Brown, and Ryan Doucette making up your 40-car field tonight.
And so look on the bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Nick Ottinger is on a pole tonight for the 21st time in his career. That is more than anybody in eNASCAR iRacing Series history. Blake, you're dialed up at the drive of the 25.
Nick, I know this is a big track position game, and I know many of you guys have been talking about that. So now that you have that track position, you have control of this race, what are your thoughts before you take the green flag?
Keep the control. That's my initial thoughts, and I'm glad our Logitech G team has some good qualifying pace. I think we got some good short run pace as well with our, one of our esports support behind us, and we gotta basically keep control, keep the lead, manage our tires, and just figure out what the strategy is gonna be. So, we'll cross that bridge as soon as we take the green flag here.
All right, Nick, with everything going on with these races winding down, trying to get a win, how aggressive do you try to get towards the end of this deal if you're racing for the win?
I think you have to be aggressive regardless. I don't think it's just in this, stance of, for Gateway tonight. But, anytime you go to the end of the race and you're in a position, you kind of got to be aggressive. And that may be a couple different ways, mentally aggressive on just making a mistake on, the driver you're racing against or something like that. So, just trying to keep our 25 Logitech G machine in contention tonight. And I know our crew, Brendan Hastings, Brandon Wilkinson, my spotter, and crew chief is going to be keeping me on my toes tonight.
All right, Nick. Well, best of luck tonight.
Thank you, Chief.
He's got a good starting spot for this one as he'll be side by side on the front row. Blake, tell us more about what we're going to see tonight as we look at our Wendy's race analysis.
Going to be one of the longest races time-wise of the season tonight for 120 laps, 150 miles. Of course, going to take a while to get around this racetrack. Long straightaways, but very short and narrow corners. Down to a pit road speed of 45 miles per hour, of which they do have to take the access road entering turn 3. So that pit lane time going to lose you a little bit, down to 23 to 26 seconds. 3 sets of Goodyear Eagles are available on pit road, and the fuel window anywhere from about 66 to 71. I've even seen some drivers make 72 laps in this Cup car at Gateway. And of course, one other thing, Evan, that we have to mention, they generate the weather randomly for these races. This weather is hotter than anybody anticipated. So fuel window going to extend, but also going to be a very loose and slick condition for these drivers tonight.
It's going to be a hot, slick, fun one. And as always, we're happy you're spending your Tuesday night with us on iRacing Esports Network. Pace car off and in. Nick Ottinger in search of his first win of 2023. Let's go racing at St. Louis. Good challenge early for the race lead as Vicente Salas going to stay right on the outside of your pole sitter, Nick Ottinger. But off at turn 2, he'll go all the way to the grass to try to shake the 55. Caution early. Ottinger in front at the moment of yellow as there's trouble behind for a quick caution to start this race.
And that may be exactly what the doctor ordered for Nick Ottinger, as Vicente Salas got a terrific launch on the outside and looked to about have him clear or dead to rights. He was going to be able to pull Nick back with the side draft down the back straightaway. I think it was Derek Justice back off of turn 2 as he got a little bit sideways, and I think he may have had some contact with Ryan Luza as they were 2 and 3 wide. This is something we're going to talk about a lot tonight, Evan, because off of turn 2, with how unique 1 and 2 is, you really tighten up on the exit of the corner. You're practically driving out to the wall, so it is a difficult corner to get off of for sure. And we get these restarts late in the race. We're going to see a lot of this off of turn 2.
Let's take a second look at what happened. We missed it because we were watching the battle for the race lead up front, and just a whole lot of stack up, and one car in the middle of 4 wide into the first turn.
That was an amazing save from Derek Bordeaux. He was drifting the whole corner, and then off the corner, just tagging Derek Justice there, and kind of a half spin, but enough to trigger a caution flag. We'll take one more look. This is on the board of Colin Bowden. Again, he started back in 31st. You can see Bordeaux drifting through the corner. Bowden's able to get by. And you see Justice moves up just a hair there into Ryan Luza, upsets his race car, but he gathers it up.
So a good wreck avoidance at the start of that, but they weren't able to escape it by the time we got to the center of turns 1 and 2. So we do get that quick yellow flag. And as you mentioned, it's fortunate timing for Ottinger because Vicente was chugging along down the back straightaway and about to get a real good look at trying to overtake in the battle for the race lead off to 3. Yellow comes out when the 25's in front, so Ottinger will be able to defend. I mentioned Ottinger looking for his first win of the season. He's the highest driver in the points without a race win so far. Comes into tonight's second in the standings. Only 26 points behind a 2-time race winner at Michael Conti. Let's get a third perspective of this one.
Timmy Holmes gets into the side of Derek Bordeaux, and I can't tell you how difficult that is to save that race car. We know how snappy these next-gen cars are, cold tires, hot racetrack. I mean, that is a lot of great driving right there from Derek Bordeaux. Cost him 15 spots. He's back in 40th right now trying to fix that damage that he had, but nevertheless, I mean, that is that's some good wheeling right there to keep that car straight.
So we'll double things up and reset to try and go again. Blake, you talk about the warmer track conditions, expanding the fuel windows and whatnot. As you see the QR code at the bottom of your screen, of course, you can scan that to stay up to date with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR, and talk about how the weather's randomly generated, right? So you don't know what to expect coming into the race. When the teams find out that it's much hotter than they were anticipating, is there anything they can do to prep, or is it really just numbers slightly change?
Well, they can definitely prepare for it, but again, it's so consistent that when the weather is generated for these races, they typically work as if it was June 13th. So if you simulate and generate weather for June, it's going to be hotter than what it otherwise would be, and teams narrow in on what that average is going to be. This is much higher than what these drivers would have anticipated. The track temperature very, very high, sky high compared to what they thought it was going to be. So these setups probably tuned for a little bit of a tighter racetrack than what we have tonight.
We'll see if that plays a factor as the night carries on. A pace car off at it. Ottinger again to the inside of the front row. Green flag back in the air, and it is a much better jump this time. The 25 car. 2 cars cleared at turn 1, and it opens up a challenge. There's contact there. Cody Bias moves Salas up the hill, and the 27 quick to P2.
It is on behind him, 2 and 3 wide throughout the field. Not Mitchell DeYoung, my goodness, Keegan Leahy. What am I going back to is Michael Conti again dives it hard down into 3 and 4. You can see 3 wide further on back in the field. Caden Honeycutt there on the bottom of Garrett Lowe. Another car squeezing up there. Salas is going to look back low once again. It is on in the back of the field. They are racing their hearts out back here.
Aggressive stuff. You can see drivers all the way below what maybe from up high appears to be that apron, but that's just kind of a seam paved in the middle of the racetrack. Look at the block halfway down the back straightaway. I mean, really aggressive stuff in the teens as we see some 3 wide to the right-hand side of your screen. That's the 15 of Garrett Lowe in the middle of it all. He gets around the 36 car. Brandon McKissick will lose a couple of spots there as he got pushed up on the outside. Most of them get a single file out until you get back to the 41 car, and that's going to be Dylan Duval trying to get on the inside of the 15 of Garrett Lowe. Or side by side behind them. This battle right now, you're looking at it for P14.
And again, once you get a couple of laps in, the reason these guys are racing so hard at this point, they know how difficult it is once you get a couple of laps on these tires. Once you don't have the clean air that perhaps you would want, how difficult it is to try and make moves. These long straightaways, and honestly, Denny Hamlin did a good job talking about it on his Actions Detrimental podcast. That, I mean, you could see a perfect example of it right here. Dylan Duval doesn't have the momentum that Garrett Lowe has, but as soon as they get into one, they kind of even out, either with the side draft or the fact that you kind of push the car away from you with how long these straightaways are. So it's going to be much more difficult to try and make these moves just a couple of laps into the run. It's just why everybody especially further back in the field, is trying everything they can to get as much track position on these restarts.
Not a lot of banking. That lateral grip not there. Heat doesn't help that. 11 degrees of banking down in 1 and 2. 9 degrees at the opposite end of the racetrack in 3 to 4. So even less so, as we see the gap amongst the race leaders hold pretty steady. Ottinger and Mullis have been able to open up a bit of an advantage over the group that we watch here. Vicente Salas, the Duracell 55, he's P3. In the middle of this, you got Cody Bias is 27. And then there is the Ada Michael Conti, of course, a 2-time race winner already this season, making his final, what he says is his final full-time campaign in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And the 8 car's good again. Well, he puts pressure on Bias. We jump back to see what's going on with the 75 of Zach Novak. Fighting with the 40 of Dylan Alt. You got Malik Ray in the mix. Timmy Holmes behind. The 6 car going to be the challenger as his Castrol Edge Ford Mustang goes to the inside in 1.
He's able to do that, and Ray, I think, had a little bit of a connection issue there for a brief moment, scared a little bit of what Zach Novak was doing. But again, this is back in the 28th, 29th position. Colin Bowden, we're hearing he may have kind of gotten half turned or so in turns 1 and 2. And I think it may have been Garrett Maines. Remember, he was actually involved in an incident getting off of the grid before we took the green flag. Maines ran into the back of Derek Bordeaux, got a little bit of damage on the nose. He had to repair that under this latest caution. So he went back in the field and had a little bit of contact with Colin Bowden, trying to waste his way forward. As you can see, Matt Busa, a little bit of contact off the turn 2 with Justice.
Bowden was scored 32nd. Next time by the stripe scored 39th. So whatever happened to him, he lost 7 positions. We'll work on getting a second look at that one in just a little bit. But as he runs now, Bowden down to 39th position, second to last on the racetrack as things run at the moment. That midfield finally maybe an opportunity to take a deep breath, get a shift change in, breathe a little bit, and try to settle into this race. We talk about 120 laps, not a long one on the scoring pylon, but just the way you get around this racetrack, going to be one of the longer ones on the stopwatch this year. You can't really blitz your way through this one as we watch that 88 of Kevin King back in 34th position. Again, these drivers towards the back may be desperate to make some moves early on. Somebody who's not desperate at the moment is your race leader, Nick Ottinger. He's led all the way, but Jimmy Mullis is right there. This is the Logitech onboard camera.
So that's the onboard from Nick Ottinger. One of the Interstate Batteries cars looks like they scraped the wall into turn number 3. But this is, okay, so this is what happened with Garrett Maines at the start of the race. And when I say start of the race, again, this is getting off the grid. This is Evan and I calling out the starting lineup as they got off the grid. He got into the back of Derek Bordeaux as Dylan Alt slides through 1 and 2. Gave himself some damage. He had to come down and repair that. He was able to, but because of that, lost what would have been a 27th place starting position, and he's back here in 30th. So good job by our production crew being able to catch that. But a very unconventional set of circumstances here to start this race. I don't think we've ever had anybody wreck before we've taken the green flag before.
They've certainly tried and gotten close, but that was on the straightaway, rolling off the line, and that's the backstory on that one. Some of the excitement that we missed before the green flag even flew. You're looking at the 46 of Jimmy Mullis. His team is letting him know to manage the tires. Only take what the track's giving you right now. The third member of our broadcast team, James Pike, is doing the scanner dance, listening in to all the radio chatter. On the radio of race leader Nick Ottinger, he's letting his crew know he's pushing at about a 6.5 out of 10. So Ottinger as well, conserving both drivers up front, not too concerned about going 110%. You take a look at Colin Bowden, the replays in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We talked about him losing 7 spots. There's the move underneath, and I don't know if the car that got into him, Blake, got hit because it was a bit of a wobble as that car went under, but Bowden got hit on the entry, and there's all the spots that he lost off of too.
Well, I think it's fitting that the Firecracker 400 car was sliding through 1 and 2. I think that's a pretty good moniker right there for what we may be seeing later on in July when eRacer puts on their 1987 Firecracker 400 at Daytona. Should be a great event as well. But one thing that kind of caught my ear while we had the Logitech onboard there, Evan, was that Nick Ottinger was not shifting. And that is something that I really would not have expected to hear from these two. And Mullis isn't really doing it either. Which maybe we'll see that a little bit later on in the run. They're staying in 4th gear throughout the lap. We talked about how hot the track is, and maybe they're trying to save a little bit of rear tire, not having to downshift. I think we'll hear that later in the run, but that entire onboard, Nick Ottinger didn't shift once. And I wouldn't have pictured that, especially at a track like Gateway.
Fun live looking in the bottom right hand of your screen there is it's a reversed image, but pretend you're in his seat. He's leaning to the left, maybe trying to make up for a bit of the lack of banking and will that car through the corner. But like I said, and James Pike was letting us know what was going on pit road, the fact that neither of these drivers pushing too much. The latest updates from Mullis' crew is that he's just trying to keep enough pressure on Ottinger just so that he knows he's there. They feel like Ottinger may be driving a little bit more aggressively than Mullis is, and they like that. As we always check in every week to see what the different paint schemes are on those Rise Esports fueled by Sunoco entries, and it's the Skyline on the 46 Sunoco for Mullis this week. Always fun stuff that team's doing week in and week out to represent the markets, the cities, and the states that we race in. And there's a hot rod looking 75, Zach Novak as well. Always spot on the racetrack.
Alan Cavana, I can already hear him screaming how much he loves this paint scheme right here. Rusty Wallace throwback. Rise Esports, they've been killing it this year with these paint schemes. And they even get the number font right. The Penske 5, who knew what that looked like? I didn't, but they stay true to it down to the smallest details. So good job there by Rise Esports this season.
Zach Novak hoping to rise through the standings. He's done a good job so far. He is up 11 positions from where he started. He started 36th. He's up to 25th as they run right now. Here's a look at the battle for the number 10 position. Donovan Strauss is the second car in line. They're all chasing down Graham Bolin, who's a little bit further on up the road. This group of about 4 or 5 going at it. And now there's the 66 of Tyler Gary back in 22nd. He'll go to the inside of Brandon McKissick, take that spot away. And the 20 of Wyatt Tinsley comes to follow suit.
Another driver that's really making his way forward is just behind them in Casey Kerwin. Started back in 35th, didn't make a time in qualifying, but he's just behind McKissick here, who you can see looking for a little bit of clean air up in the second lane here at Wide Technology Raceway. And the other thing that's really difficult here is you can see how much battling really slows you down as Tyler Gary pulls away. Tinsley will pull McKissick back, side draft him a little bit. This is what makes this track so difficult, that any amount you're really battling somebody, you're slowing each other both down quite significantly. And now he's got his hands full with Zach Novak on his inside.
So Novak continuing his charge through the field, plus 12 positions makes him the biggest mover of the night. And Casey Kerwin, who's following him through, the second biggest mover. Kerwin's plus 10. You can make it 13 up, though, for the 75. He was in front of McKissick, but not at the start-finish line. McKissick edges him out for one more lap, but the inside positioning. Oh, and there's contact right behind those two, and into the outside wall goes Ryan Luza, 5 wide, as Luza and Brown can't get off each other, and now Brown and King go around second yellow at lap 25.
I don't know what in the world happened to Joey Brown, because Brown, I mean, he cut through the grass. He got hit down in some way into the grass entering one, and there was really nothing he could do to try to collect it back, as he got a huge shot. I don't know exactly who it was from, but very, very weird set of circumstances there. As Keister got a piece of it, he shoots up into Ryan Luza, does Joey Brown, and then they were 6 wide practically off the corner, and, well, that doesn't work. So that could have been a lot worse. But, again, I want to go back and see exactly how Joey Brown got hit into the rest of the field. But, nevertheless, the field catches the pace car, and this kind of opens the window here, Evan, for some green flag pit stops.
Yeah, first time looks like we're going to see wholesale service as everybody heads to the access road and then the pit road entry there. On the entrance to turn number 3, I will say my Inspector Gadget senses tell me that Malik Ray was involved some way, because he's plenty active on the radio. So as your race leaders come down pit road for service, let's take a second look. Joey Brown was 30th. That's Malik Ray 31st behind. And,
oh, yeah.
I mean, Malik didn't seem too happy with the 14, but I don't know if there was a checkup up the road, but Joey Brown just kind of got run over.
Yeah, there was nothing that Joey could really do there. That was, I don't know if that was retaliation, if they were upset with each other from a previous lap, but, I mean, Joey's just kind of along from the ride right there. As you can see it on board from Ryan Doucette. We saw him running his modified earlier in Countdown to Green, and, yep, 6 wide off the corner. That doesn't work, and Joey Brown tags his good friend and buddy, Kevin King, and brings out that initial caution. But would love to know, I guess, if we can go back and see if there was a little bit more going on between these two drivers that would have caused this, or either that or it was just a bad misjudgment here on Malik's part. We'll take one more look at it.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things, right? You can see how close the cars in front, Blake. To me, it looks like the cars up top were stacking up a little bit, so Joey might have braked a little bit earlier than he usually would have, and Malik, it looked like, was just making a move to the bottom to maybe then brake a little bit later to try to pass on the inside. And when the car behind wants to brake later than usual and the car in front has to brake sooner than, I think that's the inevitable result. I don't really think it was, 100% anybody's fault.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there after taking a second look at it. It was just a misjudgment, mistiming, which, that occasionally happens, but out of it, well, not everybody came down pit road. The top 3 cars in Bowden, Malik Ray, and Matt Busa stayed out on old tires. So, this is quite a call here. Again, they have 4 sets overall. They started with 1. They have 3 on pit road, and they're going to elect to try and save a set here. So I don't really blame Malik for it, because he obviously had bad track position. Same with Colin Bowden, but this is a tough call right here.
I would say if I had to put money on 3 drivers who would stay out without tires, I might guess Matt Busa, Malik Ray, and Colin Bowden. We've seen this a couple of times, not only this year, but over the course of many of their careers. They're going to be out there on 27 lap older tires than everybody else. It was 4 tires for everybody else out of back, with the exception of Bobby Zelensky. He is P11 for the restart. He took 2. He may be the only one who took 2. It's going to be 4 tires for everybody else. So let's see what the old tires can do up front. Busa, your new race leader, going to be on the inside of the front row. The 7 of Malik Ray to his outside, and Colin Bowden behind on row 2. Green flag in the air. Great jump for the 97 on the inside. Bowden to the inside of Ray for P2.
I'll tell you who this really helped was Jimmy Molis. That outside lane behind Malik Ray didn't get rolling as well as the bottom lane, and Molis is going to be the first car out on 4 fresh tires, at least for now. But Ottinger going to try to work with Malik Ray, do a little bit of tandem drafting to get by. So this is going to be, I think, the de facto battle for the lead right here. The 25 and the 46. Ottinger goes to the outside, and now he may have the advantage. And Michael Conti going to join this as well.
Conti in on the action. He stays high. The aggressive move is to the bottom, though, as Mullis wants to get under Ray. He can. 3 wide down to turn 1. Malik Ray shouting 3 wide. So both cars that flank him know, and they will both clear. Now look at Conti. He'll go underneath Bowden to the outside of Mullis. 3 wide again down the back straightaway. Everybody wants to be the first car up there on 4 tires trying to catch Nick Ottinger. Ottinger already at the back of the race leader. Conti through to 3rd, and up front, Nick Ottinger around Busa and back to the race lead at the end of lap 30.
Doesn't make it difficult for his William Byron Esports teammate. You can see Stephen Wilson wiggling around there as Colin Bowden gets punted up the road down into turn 1. I believe that was contact with Vicente Salas. Malik Ray is loose. Bowden's in the wall. They all scatter around him. No wreck yet as Bowden now on the top side 4 wide.
Bowden got sent into turn 1 and then hip checked again off of turn 2, but the old tires means he can't do much to stick up for himself. He's stuck on the 3rd lane, and they are 2 by 2 freight train on the inside. Look out off of 4. Bit of a touch between Kerwin and the 34 car there as well, but everybody able to sneak through without incident for now, and the cars on the old tires, not quietly, but they do fade nonetheless, and that makes that midfield, that mess there, a little bit more 3 wide for good measure as they head down the backstretch.
These cars on old tires, they're almost hoping for this. They probably need about 10 laps as Bowden got into the back of Maines further back in the field. They save it. Minter and Bordeaux, or excuse me, that's Cody Bias, are side by side. They hit off the corner. Your former race winner, or last year's race winner in Graham Boland's going to go 3 wide. And now Minter is going to get to the back of Cody Bias, sends him into turn 1. He saves it. The rest of the field stacks up. We've seen this about 3 or 4 times, and somehow they're still green.
A little bit of deja vu. That looked like the 33 of Tucker Minter trying to make a 4 wide move out of a 3 wide spot, and he's feeling good coming off of his 2nd win of the season last week at Charlotte, but maybe not that was the smartest move at the best time to do that one, but again, we get away with it. The 33 of Minter stays at 15th, and now 3 wide again, this time right up the middle. The 43 car of Femi. Caution flag, though. There's smoke up the road, and it's the 18 car into the outside wall. Zelensky, and he will collect the 48 car of Bolin.
It just had to happen. I mean, there wasn't, that could not go on much longer right there. And so Zelensky finally is the one that gets turned. I mentioned Olot was able to grab a piece of that. A couple other cars piled in, but I mean, we just felt that pressure continuing to ramp up. I mean, there was, it just couldn't last, Evan. I mean, it's impressive that they were able to do that as long as they did, but the water overboiled the pan.
Yeah, they were trying their best to do exactly that for about 10 laps. That was real aggressive stuff, and eventually it just got to be too much. You mentioned the water overboiling the pan. Let's take a second look at what happened in this case. It all starts with Zelensky. The 48 was nowhere near this when it started. Zelensky P10 is going to be Michael Cozy Jr. Watch the 38 car coming from behind. He gets a run. There's a bit of a checkup up top, so he goes to the bottom. 3 wide again. And there's maybe a little bit of movement down for the 18 of Zelensky. He gets spun, and then right there's nothing that the 48 car can do. And piling into that one is last year's winner here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway in Grand Bowling.
Yeah, I think that's a case of both Zelensky kind of moving down, trying to give Leahy room, and Cozy is moving up the racetrack, trying to side draft him. You can see, obviously, Zelensky gets the worst end of it. Olot gets tagged. I believe Kevin King may have gotten a piece of it as well. A nice miss there for Donovan Strauss, who we heard from pre-race, running Legends cars at the Thursday Thunder at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is onboard Wyatt Tinsley.
Cleaned out 48 car, and then more will pile into behind. It is a lucky escape for the 20 of Wyatt Tinsley. I'd say about a half a dozen cars when it's all said and done get a piece of that incident down in turn 1. And again, we pause to take a moment. So 2nd yellow of the afternoon, but A familiar sight up front. Nick Ottinger wasted no time on the 4 fresh tires. He drove himself back to the race lead in this one. And somebody else who was having a good night up to that point, Blake, was Bobby Zelensky. Again, that contact happened for P10. Let's see if we can get a word with him.
Bobby, we talked earlier about your success in the month of June, but fortunately may not pan out tonight. What happened there getting down into turn 1?
Yeah, I got put 3 wide, and I think Cozy just ran my left rear a little close, and it turned us. I tried locking down the car, I slammed the brakes immediately, but nowhere to go, and got hit. So what are you gonna do? I felt like I made a pretty good call taking 2 tires, gained about like 11 spots or so, and I felt a little loose, but I think it was the right call in terms of speed. Just sucks that that wipes us out, and we're gonna have to try to fix this damage.
I was about to ask you, how bad is it, or do you think it's salvageable at this point?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's about 5 minutes optional, but I don't have engine damage. My right front got clobbered, so the toe's completely knocked out. If you can see my wheel, I'm going down straightaway. It's about 10 degrees to the right, so not great. But was really hoping to get this interstate batteries car back in the podium, back in first. Thought we had really good speed, but that's just how racing goes, I guess.
Suppose so. Still a long ways to go. Hopefully luck turns around for you.
Yeah, thanks, Blake.
So that's a word with Bobby Zelensky involved in that most recent accident. His car, again, coming off of the pit lane. He'll take service under this yellow, of course, as he tries to get that car repaired. But it puts him into the high 30s and a long way from home. We'll see if the lights go on top of the base car this time by. For more information on this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, including the series schedule, standings, and even info on how you could one day qualify to be a driver, you can log on to iRacing.com/eNASCAR today to learn more information. Again, this series can be accessed by anybody through the ladder on iRacing, and the only way to start that journey is to start your sim racing career today. Log on to iRacing.com for more information, because with iRacing, every day is race day. So lights are out on top of the pace car. Ottinger, Conti, Mullis sit 1, 2, 3. But only one of them has a lot of laps so far tonight, that being Ottinger. The only laps not led by him, Matt Busa, who stayed out with no tires under the first, or I guess I should say the second yellow, but the first real cycle of pit service tonight. So it is an even fight up front. Front row, we'll see Ottinger and Conti. It'll be Mullis and Salas on row 2. Lopez Wilson, row 3. Lowe and Busa, row 4. And Leahy and Cozy on row number 5. Pace car off and in, a long way to go with 82 laps still to go here at Wide Technology Raceway. Green flag back in the air. Ottinger good enough to clear the 8 car in the center of 1 and 2. Mullis trying to get the upper hand on the 55 of Salas for third. He will do so as they head to turn 3.
Continuing to fan, 3 wide back there. Cozy and Minter on the bottom is Strauss hard into the outside wall. He's not going to spin, so no caution, but he blows his motor and irreparable damage on that car. Ryan Luza's also pitting as well, and I think Strauss got a tag from Dylan Duval, overcorrected when he got loose, and that is going to put an end to the night of Donovan Strauss, but we are still green.
Well, it was a good look at the damage model here on the iRacing service for these next-gen NASCAR Cup cars, as the right front of that thing was destroyed. So contact there as he will find himself on pit road. The good news for the field is, again, it was just 1 car into the outside wall, so no yellow, and this race stays green. Ottinger, Conti, Mullis, your top 3. They looked even on the first run when it was the battle between the 25 and the 46. Let's see what Michael Conti can do as he's inserted himself into this fight comfortably in P2.
See what he can do as they continue to battle further back in the field. We talked about some of the different strategies. We'll have to see how that pans out. Parker White, somebody that's been moving forward this race. Zach Novak a little squirrely as he's underneath that 66 Dr. iRacing machine of Tyler Gary. Gary's able to get by, provide some help to Casey Kerwin, who it doesn't seem to matter where Kerwin starts. He always seems to find a way to hang around at the end. Started 35th, already up to 16th, and a third of the way through this race, Evan. It's a long race here tonight, probably one of the longest, at least timing-wise, of the season, so still a ways to go for these drivers.
You see that 66 of Gary right there has kind of been stuck in the high teens for the majority of this race right there. And when you take a jump, look at this 3 wide by the 27 car. Cody Bias, the star of the show, as he leads 3 wide off of turn number 4. He'll clear all of it. 31 car, Derek Justice, going to join on through. And now the 3 wide has the 88 car, Kevin King in the middle. King was spun around in an earlier accident in this race. Well, now he's trying to do his part to jump back up through the field and make up for some lost ground. And he's on the move. He'll get the speed off of turn 2 and clear Derek Bordeaux for position.
Bordeaux came back down and pit at lap 30. And so a little bit of a different strategy for him. We talked about him kind of sliding through a little bit earlier in his save and how that's paying dividends for him. This is last year's race winner, and Graham Boland has not had a night to write home about so far, as he's going to slide through the middle of 1 and 2. Another fantastic save for him as it goes from bad to worse as he tried to clear up in front of Ryan Doucette. And I think Doucette turned in for the entry. But a great save there from Graham Boland.
It was a good save, but his night is really coming unplugged. He won this race 1 year ago and involved in an accident and then a near spin there. 48 car struggling mightily as he finds himself back up and into the high 20s as he tries to make some moves here. No spot. The 18 is the inside occupied. The 97 Abusa, who made that no tire decision, has the outside occupied there. We go on board with Dylan Alt. It's your Coca-Cola onboard camera.
So Michael Conti running up and trying to pass Nick Ottinger here for the race lead. But I think one thing we really need to look at here when we talked about the differing strategies is that the fact that fuel mileage could come into play here. Remember, most of the field did not pit this last time by. Colin Bowden was one of the few that did. He came down and topped off before we went green. He's only running in 5th gear. Haven't seen him quite clutching yet, but when you talk about saving fuel here, Evan, this is one of the easiest tracks to do it at because we have these long, low-banked corners. It's very easy to just lift early and save. Again, the fuel window, about 72 laps if you're running normally, but you put the guys in the draft. And then if you try to save, you could probably stretch about 7 or 8 laps out of it. So Colin Bowden trying to do his best to save a little bit of fuel.
We'll see if that works out for Colin Bowden. Made that strategy call earlier by not coming to pit road ever in the game of strategy. This time by, Nick Ottinger going to lead his 46th lap of the night. But the pressure's still there. Conti pressures from P2. Mullis has been there all night as well. He watches on from 3rd, but so far it's Nick Ottinger.
There's your biggie bag. All that food for $5, that's my go-to.
Ooh, that's my ride or die.
Just like you and me. Bag boys. Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
You can always bet on Biggie. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Makoni.
We now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
And back live at iRacing's virtual Worldwide Technology Raceway, where coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. By Wendy's. Wendy's Biggie Bag comes with your choice of JBC, double stack, or crispy chicken sandwich, plus 4-piece nugs, junior fries, and a small soft drink. So stop by today and bet on Biggie. And by McConey Setup Shop. McConey Setup Shop is the original iRacing setup shop and is trusted by real-world and virtual professionals to get the job done. Visit McConeySetupShop.com to see why they are the official setup shop at eNASCAR and choose a subscription to save money. McConey Setup Shop, our setups, your victories. Well, Nick Ottinger, in search of his first victory of the season, has led nearly all the way, Blake, but the stat sheet would say it's dominant. 50, now 51 laps led out of the 54 that have been complete, but I don't think any of those laps led have been with a gap of more than maybe 2.5 tenths of a second. It was Mullis hounding him in the first run. Mullis is still right there in third, but now it's Mike Conti who has stepped up to the plate and has not left the back of the 25. Right now the gap's about 2.5 car lengths.
And I really think that just speaks to how good of a car that Michael Conti and Jimmy Mullis have, because, again, we hear so much about how much clean air matters in these cars, and specifically at a racetrack like this where there's not a whole lot of banking in these corners. Everybody's kind of running around the same groove. So I just think that speaks a lot to Michael Conti, Jimmy Mullis, and the fact that they're able to hang with Nick Ottinger for the time being, because that clean air, we know how important it is, and the fact that Ottinger hasn't been able to pull away yet, awfully impressive. As see how hard Femi Olot is wheeling back here for the 20th position behind Timmy Holmes.
Well, we saw the same thing with Bobby a little bit earlier, but the Formula Rim is a staple of Bobby Zelensky. Steven Wilson rocking it tonight as well, the driver out of Iowa City, the number 10 Ford, with that Formula open wheel style rim as he rides in P7. A lot of drivers, we'll see them swap those out when we go road course racing, Blake, but it feels like every year and more of these drivers run this kind of wheel for the ovals.
Well, and I remember we saw Wilson in the championship race, in Charlotte. He didn't run this open wheel rim, but yeah, when we get to these tracks like Phoenix and a whole bunch of others, this is becoming much more commonplace. These drivers are moving to these open wheel style rims. You can see here Wyatt Tinsley, same thing that he's doing.
If there's another look in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see another driver, similar style wheel setup there. You can see the monitors wrap around to driver's right, so a triple screen setup gives those drivers kind of that wide field of view as if you were in the car yourself, and allows Wyatt to see all around his number 20 Toyota. He sits right now in the number 16 spot on the racetrack as he races off down to 3 for all the chaos. And listen, this could easily be a jinx, but maybe the calmest moment in this race is what we're looking at currently. Most of the field has, I wouldn't say spread out, but found a gap to at least single file themselves out for the time being. Again, things are still tight up front, but Derek Justice trying to make some moves in the 31 car. We check in with him in P23. Here's a move to the inside. There goes Dylan Alt.
He spun on lap 1, so a nice recovery here for Derek Justice. And Evan, I think I know why you were kind of hooting and hollering up there when I was looking at your camera a second ago. I'll just say congratulations and well done.
I said, I'm not saying any words because there's a lot of game left, but we're having a good night. And hopefully Nick Ottinger and I can have a celebration when this one is said and done, if he can wrap this up or whoever does it. There's Derek Justice again with that onboard perspective. Lost a couple of spots there. The 40, the 1, the 88, they're all able to get by him. So Derek lost up some of the ground that he made. Still +3 from where he started. And there's a clutch for the 34. We've talked a little bit about shifting, Blake, notably mentioning when drivers haven't been shifting. There's a shift from Alan Bowes off into turn 1.
Well, again, he's clutching. He pit on lap 37, same lap as Colin Bowden. And oh yeah, okay, yeah, he's shutting the motor off. He is coasting. He is definitely going to try to turn this around and make it on fuel. So the crew chief and Blake Reynolds, former series driver, Sean Butler spotter, trying to put Alan Bowes in a good position here. And again, there's nothing that anybody up front, they may listen to the broadcast and they're spotters and everybody's telling them, oh, by the way, these guys are clutching and they're saving fuel. They can't do anything about it. There is no conceivable way that they can make it nearly 100 laps on what would be for them on fuel. So if these guys are going to do this, they have to hope it works, but you're going to see going down in the 3, you can see the RPMs drop off. He's definitely saving some fuel, but the likes of Michael Conti, Nick Ottinger, they can't do anything about it. They're lying in their bed, but we also don't know if saving fuel will end up being the better strategy. We don't know how much time these guys are losing, and once everybody else pits and they're on fresh tires, how much they'll run them down. So I do applaud, though, Bowes, Bowden, all these guys at least trying this strategy, and we'll see if it works for them, or maybe they catch a caution at the right time.
Yeah, we'll see how this one continues to play out. The story early was all the aggression, and now, again, we get to this middle portion of the race. Things settle down for a moment. Strategy, now the lead talking point. I will say, again, Michael Conti has done such a good job since the most recent restart at hounding Nick Ottinger. It ain't a big gap, but it's something, and he's been able to open it up to about 0.4 of a second. This is likely the biggest advantage that Ottinger's had all night. You take a look at the shot right there. Your top 3 is still separated by less than 1 second, so it is not a lot by any means. Again, any sort of mistake can open things up, but the way it looks now, pretty good for Nick Ottinger. Here's some 3 wide off the turn 3. It's the 45 car, center of it all. Michael Guest to the outside, Garrett Maines. To the inside is Dylan Alt. This battle for P21, and well, that one of Derek Bordeaux gave a shot to the 45, center of the corner, while he was the center of 3 wide. That one could have fallen apart real quick, and they are still 3 wide for an entire lap around the Wide Technology Raceway.
When people ask why these guys are the best sim racers in the world, it's examples like this, running mere inches off each other, 3 wide, several laps in a row. Kevin King's going to look to try and make it 4 wide, and indeed he is going to send it. Does it work? It does. King gets the better end of it. Alt's going to try to make a move on Maines. Maines wiggles off the corner. Again, this is why these Coke Series drivers are so good, because I cannot explain how difficult it is to pull something like that off. And for these drivers, it's just another lap in this series.
Just one more trip around. The 1 car clears the 45. There's another bit of contact there. Kevin King into the left rear of Michael Guest's 45. Quick recovery. He tucks in line. We reset and try it again. The car's in the 20s here. Heard me talking about things calming down and wanted to step it up. Maines either tried to get to the inside of King or just tried to block the 40 car underneath him there, but he would not let him through, and they will stay single file. Meanwhile, as we watch this battle continue on, Blake, we've got Donovan Strauss dialed up on the radio.
Unfortunate end to the night for Donovan Strauss a little bit earlier on, currently on pit road, still getting that car repaired. Donnie, I know you kind of darted off to the wall there in turn 3. I know you've had time to kind of dissect the replay. What kind of happened there from your perspective?
Yeah, it was just my fault. I was top 3. And so obviously you just got to fight for the bottom, and I was called top 3. Like, it wasn't a spotter error. It was just my fault trying to pinch it too low. And yeah, I just came down on Dylan, and that was completely my fault. So I apologize to him for that. And it's just been how our season has went this year.
Well, fortunately, it hasn't been the luck in the Coke Series that you've wanted, but I know you're running Thursday Thunder at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Legends cars. That's been going pretty well for you. So Kind of talk about that for a little bit, how that's been working out for you. I know you've won. You ran second last week, and looking forward to running again on Thursday.
Yes. So we're running double header on Thursday night. It was supposed to be Wednesday, Thursday, but it's now a double header on Thursday because of the weather. I'm excited. I'm leading the points in that. It's been a hell of a year for me on that. So I'm leading the points in the nation right now. So just gonna keep focused on this and that, and just I'm just trying to hopefully not make as many errors on here. Like I said, our cars are fast. We have Steven up there in sixth. He helped us a lot this week. Parker, we had a really good car this week, and it's a shame I threw it all away. So.
Well, it's tough for you there, Donovan, but we know you got a lot going on. Wish you the best of luck going forward.
Thank you, Blake.
So a tough end of the night for Donovan Strauss. He will be credited with 40th position in tonight's races. Not that I'd obviously that he was looking for. We saw a brief glimpse there of the 40 machine headed to pit road. Dylan Alt has come down pit road. He last pitted when the majority of the field did about 42 laps ago from this moment. So he's going to come down for service if that's the decision for him. With 50 laps to go in this race, I think we can start to expect more to follow. And there it is. Nick Ottinger heads to pit road as well. So the 25 car comes in at lap 70 and gives up the race lead. And he doesn't want anything to happen while he's on pit road. Into a close call there for the 33.
Yeah, Cementer's going to kind of realize he slipped his tires there and work his way around the access road, which again, this is not at pit road speed yet, so there's a lot of time that drivers can lose or make up as they make their way around the access road. You can see the amount of rubber they're laying down. They throw on the brakes just before that yellow cone that signifies where their pit road speed is going to be measured. So a lot of time these drivers, they get on that access road and they're wheeling it just as hard, if not harder, than when they're actually out on the racetrack. But this would be around that time for everybody that came down at that initial caution of lap 26. This would be about splitting that run in half, and you can see how much those new tires are helping Garrett Lowe. He flies right by Jimmy Mullis, who's running in second. So this is where the strategy portion of this race, these crew chiefs really get to make their money on if a caution comes out, how long do you stay out, do you try to short pit, all of those scenarios coming into play right now.
So with Ottinger making that decision to be the first driver of those in the top 5, top 10 area to come down to the pit lane, it has handed the race lead over to Michael Conti. Conti was second at the time, so he is now taken over the reins as the number 1 position. Both he and Mullis have stayed out so far to this point. So maybe a split decision. Ottinger separating himself on the call from Conti and Mullis. What that means is immediately after the cycle, he's got fresh tires right now. He's running faster lap times currently than Conti and Mullis are. So when they decide to pit, Ottinger's going to have opened up a pretty good gap. The question is, of course, once Conti, Mullis, and company pit later, then they'll have the better tires. Will they be able to reel in Ottinger? And of course, all of that assumes that this race stays green. You always get nervous with these long, stretched out green flag pit cycle windows, because when you got cars at different closing rates, anything can happen.
That indeed is the case, and we know a number of times these type of races look like they're going to play out and then they fall apart, but I just love the opportunity that opens for strategy to work out, and having this race be 120 laps really kind of allows these crew chiefs and these drivers a little bit of freedom to explore that and try to do what works best for them. And I think Michael Conti, you see him continuing to pull away from Jimmy Mullis. He doesn't have a whole lot to worry about right now. Multiple wins this season, can kind of afford to stay out and have some insurance here as far as when you want to pit. Of course, it's probably better knowing if it's going green that you could probably pit around this time and split this run in half. But if you're Michael Conti, you don't necessarily need to do that. You can stay out here and make sure that if a caution does come out, you're not going to lose a lap as a result of that. So Conti kind of rolling the dice, and Salas going to do so no longer, as he'll join a couple of others, Timmy Holmes, and some more cars that have made their way down to pit road this lap.
Through all of this, Jimmy Mullis has trailed off quite significantly, was third before the pit cycle began. He's down to P6, and he's going to decide to come in this time. So as Conti passes the pit road entry and goes around 3 and 4 to start a new lap, Jimmy Mullis will pit
he missed pit
from
road,
the number 6 spot.
He got
that'll
on the
explain it.
access road. Yeah, he got on the access road and missed it, drove through the grass and back out on the racetrack, which is legal. That's not a pit road penalty, but unfortunately throws away a lot of time, and he had to come back around and take the access road once again.
It's a point that we really didn't hit on, Blake, before the race started, but the fact that the access road right there, what Mike Conti's on, so they're not technically on pit road yet, right? So Mullis makes the mistake there. He goes into the grass, goes back around. That's not technically pit road, so that's why he doesn't get penalized. But going into the grass, it's the time penalty for Mullis by missing pit road. He had to go all the way around and throw away a bunch of time.
And tell you what, man, you pick somebody and just something always happens. Was having a good run up in the top 3, just that kind of year.
This is, I stay out of the picks. I stay at the cozy 9 o'clock chair. That way nobody can call me out for any cold takes or jinxing anybody. Here's a second look at it, right? So this is headed to turn 3. Inside of the corner is going to head to what looks like the apron. That's the access road. And right away, the back end's kind of shaking, locks it up for a minute. He almost took out the car on track there and then decided at that point, if I dive back in, it's too late. So he has to go all the way around. So that's why Mullis, who was second when that happened, fell to P6 before he eventually pitted. Unfortunately, that's a lot of time to throw away. And if this thing stays green, takes him out of it, I think.
It definitely takes him out of contention for the win for now. Needs a caution and a little bit else to get back into it, but also somewhat heads-up driving there, because if he kind of cuts back across the grass and enters pit road, he probably negates that time penalty, but that is going to be a pit road entry penalty. So kind of heads up there once he realized he made the mistake that he couldn't drive back down onto the access road and enter pit road. It would have been a penalty for an unsafe entry, so smart there. As you can see, Wyatt Tinsley gets just about everything as he is going to come and make his pit stop.
You can see more cars on pit road now. You got the 12 of Garrett Maines, the 20 of Wyatt Tinsley, Brandon McKissick on pit road a little bit further on down the running order. There's only about maybe 7 or 8 cars who have yet to pit. Through all of this, by the way, there's your new race leader, Steven Wilson, with an opportunity to lead. Now, here's where the variance comes in, right? You take a look at the last pit stop lap. So it's not laps since they pitted, it's the lap of the race in which they pitted. So Steven Wilson pitted on lap 27. That was 53 laps ago. Duval down pit road from second. Kerwin down pit road from third. Gonna cycle all of this up pretty quickly. Now the drivers who pitted a bit later, right? Bowden pitted on 37. Zelensky pitted on 38. Bose, Keister as well a little bit later, Blake. They can go longer than all the cars that have pitted so far.
That they can, and continuing to kind of follow along with some of these cars and when they last pit, I really like Alan Bose out of these cars. Colin Bowden not saving as much fuel. How about Bobby Zelensky? We talked about the damage that he had a little bit earlier. He kind of got, well, I guess you could say forced into this line of strategy, but with the damage he has, the fact that he's saving fuel, that car is still capable of running at a good pace, damage, and saving fuel. So Zelensky may end up in a pretty good situation here, despite the fact that his nose is pretty crinkled on his Interstate Batteries Camry.
Here's Wilson stripped down to pit road. It's a good onboard perspective. Listen now, he has to drive it. Just kind of feather, throttle up a bit at the end, and then right there, those yellow cones, your pit road start marker, 45 mile an hour pit road speed limit enforced at that point. So Wilson comes down from the top spot, and that will leave only the cars who pitted on the most recent yellow out there on the racetrack. Wilson comes down, so that leaves Bowden, Zelensky, Bose, Keister on the racetrack. Who are going to try to maybe stretch this one out for a little bit longer. We heard the clutching and coasting and all of that, and from being involved in a wreck to leading the race, Colin Bowden. We'll see how it shakes out, but at least right now on top of the scoring pylon.
It's working out for now, but look at Nick Ottinger, who hit a little bit earlier. He's already only 8 seconds behind. Now that's going to start to level off here as his tire advantage goes away. But I think if you're these cars, you would have wanted kind of a bigger advantage over the cars that have pitted at this point with 38 laps to go. Ottinger's running 35.0s, Bowden's running 35.9. So I don't know, Colin, I guess we can ask you live.
Yeah.
What are you thinking right now? You're leading. How about that?
Yeah, tell them rascals back there, slow it down a little bit, because we're going to be just fine here if we can bring this puppy back around. I just don't know if we can hold them off, because they're going a little too fast for my liking.
I was about to say that gap was 9 seconds. Now it's down to about 8. So what's kind of the plan here? If they approach you, are you pushing harder, or are you thinking, well, if they get to me and pass me, there's really not a whole lot I can do?
Oh, we're going to push hard. We might push them in the wall if we got to, if we need to yellow at all costs. If that 12 car comes around me, I'm going to smack the hell out of him.
Why's that?
Because a dumb guy run me over about 2 times this race already, and the 55 hit me too. I would like to hit him too. There's a bunch of them I wouldn't mind hitting right now, and a caution ain't gonna hurt. But I guess I can't hit him now because I said it. It's frowned upon these days.
Well, bad news. Garrett Maines is 6.5 seconds in front of you and is on fresher tires, so I think you'd have to wait a while for him to come back around.
Oh, the news ain't all bad. I'm the leader and he ain't.
Well, thank you for your thoughts, Colin. We'll see if this strategy works out for you. By the way,
go get on that 25 camp. Tell him slow down just a little bit for me.
We'll have James Pike on pit road relay the message. That is race leader Colin Bowden. I think that needs to be a new rule on the broadcast. If Colin Bowden gets to the race lead, instantly dial him up.
You know exactly what he's thinking. That's what I love about Colin, is that he's not going to filter anything.
Well, he's still up front. He wants the cars behind to slow him down a little bit. As you can see, Bobby Zelensky eventually will bow out. He comes to pit road 48, the number since he last pitted, and a little bit deep into the box there means that it's going to be a slower stop that he would have liked anyways. Here's the onboard look with your second place runner. It is Alan Bowes. Again, it is Bowes, Keister, and Bowden, those top 3, who are going to have to come down to pit road before this thing is said and done. And even if we just gave them an extra couple gallons of fuel, Blake, I don't know if it really matters, right? You talk about the fresh tires, you can see it on the scoring pylon. Well, Nick Ottinger just passed Colin Keister. There's the move right there on cue into turn number 1, and he will be quickly arriving on the scene of the 34 and then the 69.
Well, I think that Bowes can make it to the end. I'm questionable about Bowden. Bowden hasn't been clutching, hasn't been saving near as much fuel as Bowes has. Now, because of that, he's about 2.5 seconds ahead of Alan Bowes right now. So I think Alan may be in a position here to still have a net gain. He may not win, but I think if this kind of plays out, the next 20, 30 laps or so, Bowes may finish ahead of kind of where he was running back in 35th. So this could still be a net gain for him. But he definitely needs a little bit of help. And we were kind of talking here, Evan. Michael Conti is a little bit further back through this pit cycle than I would have imagined him being.
I know he currently finds himself 9th. Yeah, so he pitted a little bit later, right? So he pitted 11 laps ago. For context, Nick Ottinger pitted 18 laps ago, Lowe 21 ago, right? So they had about a 10-lap head start on the fresh tires. So we know Conti is going to be working from behind, but the gap to Ottinger is the big thing. That's at about 5 seconds right now, Conti to Ottinger. Conti P8 at the moment, Ottinger 3rd. Of course, assuming that what we expect to happen happens, they will cycle through to the race lead in this one. It is worth noting, though, that Conti's team is talking about what may happen if he gets there. Conti's crew kind of giving him a cautionary tale that if you can get to Nick, that he's going to, the words that they said was he's going to baby it a little bit, right? He's going to save a little bit because he knows you got the better tires. So they told Conti, don't use it all up trying to get there because you need to have something left in the reserves to make the pass. So Conti's team cautioning him, listen, you got 31 laps to go. Don't catch him in 10 and then not have anything left. But they feel like, at least the way that this will play out, that they're going to get a crack at it.
I think you're right. I don't know why the overcut seems to be the way to go when the draft works down these long straightaways and the fresher tires are able to kind of cut through the dirty advantage or the dirty air and the advantage that would be. I think that kind of makes a big difference. As you see, Conti's still trying to make his way forward and pull up, but I think right now Nick Ottinger all over the back bumper of Colin Bowden here in 1 and 2. So the reign of Colin Bowden may be over here in a minute as he tries to make his way by off of turn 2. Ottinger down to the inside, and he's going to get a little bit of help from the fresh tires and Bobby Zelensky as he recently pitted. So Colin Bowden no longer in the lead.
It all cycles through and back to the top of the mountain goes Nick Ottinger. He has led the most laps tonight, and nobody will lead more than him. He has locked up those honors with now 66 laps led. And now he needs to try to lead the final 29. You'll see Bowden half a second back and continue to triple on back a little bit there. You see Bobby Zelensky clearing the race leader, worth noting. Not for position. Bobby had involved in those earlier incidents. He pitted later. He's got fresh tires, and he just unlapped himself. So we'll see. Can Garrett Lowe, Kid Minter, Vincent Conti, can any of these drivers chase down Nick Ottinger? It has been his race, and he's in the captain's seat. Nick Ottinger trying to close out his first win of 2023. Can Garrett Lowe catch him? We'll find out when we come back.
I need to try it first.
Continuing coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. There are 25 laps left to go in this 10th race of the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series from iRacing's virtual Worldwide Technology Raceway. You took a quick peek, and Nick Ottinger's the race leader. He pitted earlier than most of the cars behind him, so we play the waiting game to see if any of the cars behind him by 2, 3, or 4 seconds have enough fresh tires to catch up. In the meantime, we watch the battle with the 6th car at Timmy Holmes, 23rd spot, under fire. Dylan Duval side by side behind with Dylan Alt.
We've seen a couple of cars in the middle of a lot tonight. Dylan Alt, Garrett Maines, Timmy Holmes. We've cut a lot to those guys, and still so much action. We talk about it every single week, how much goes on kind of here in the middle of the pack and where all these differing strategies and tires are merging. And that's kind of where, you know, those guys that are staying out are wanting something to happen, wanting a little bit of contact, a little bit of beef, anything to perhaps kind of change this race around completely. We know how crazy the restarts were earlier when we were packed up. I mean, we're still inside 25 to go. If that happens, I mean, that could really, really shake things up.
Well, Blake, we were talking about picks earlier. Camille went with Nick Ottinger. He sat on pole for the second time this season. He continues to lead this race. Allen went with the 95 of Casey Kerwin. Kind of a strange, quiet night for the 95 car as he sits back in P26. And then you went with the 46 of Jimmy Mullis, who was right up in contention early, but sits P11 right now.
Again, Jimmy, I think, was set for a top 5, but just missing pit road in this series, you make little mistakes like that, and these drivers will eat you up. So, and honestly, I mean, he's still having a good run, still running in 11th, pulling up on the back of Michael Cozy off of turn 4, and may be able to get his way into the top 10. You have to imagine Bowden may pit as well. So it's not all for naught for Jimmy Mullis, but certainly a really good car that he had at a track that really suits his driving style. And we'll at least try to get up into the top 20 in the point standings with this run.
And I know we talked about, you know, this racetrack doesn't have a lot of banking. It's a little bit slower to get around this place, but man, are these 23 laps just going to drag on and on and on if you are race leader Nick Ottinger. There's Tucker Minter sporting the lean, trying to will that 33 car through the corner, one of a couple of multi-race winners this season. Tucker right now in 2nd spot. What a drive for him, by the way, up 19 positions, the biggest mover in tonight's race.
That he is, and my goodness, his neck's got to be really sore. I mean, we see some leans, but usually it's the whole body. For Tucker, it looks like it's a lot of neck muscles working right now for Tucker. So good for him. But yes, he's just been so impressive in his rookie campaign. Got his 2nd win a couple weeks ago at Charlotte, but isn't content with that. Obviously, he wants to add more playoff points. He wants to be what could be considered a favorite going into the playoffs. And again, representing Team Dillon that, has 2 cars in the top 10 right now, and Jordy Lopez Jr. running 8th.
So if you have Tucker Minter leaning in to the turn to help the car rotate, then Corey Vincent leading the opposite direction is what, the G-forces and making the corner? I mean, he's going the wrong way with the lean.
Certainly different styles for different drivers. I know a couple of the drivers that ran the Pro Invitational Series a couple years ago, they would kind of do the same thing. They'd almost naturally lean to the right, which I guess would be kind of fighting the natural G-forces when you get down into a left-handed corner. But smooth and steady for Corey Vincent. He's having a great afternoon as well, just as he did a couple weeks ago at Charlotte. Ran top 5 pretty much the entire night there, and he's doing the same here at Wide Technology Raceway.
There's a look at that 55 of Vicente Salas. A little bit of chatter on his radio as well, as crew's asking him, is he the bait or is he the shark? Go get him. So that last bit of encouragement, 20 laps to go in this race. Nick Ottinger may feel similar to 20 minutes away from a Stanley Cup or something like that. It's going to drag on and on and on. And we're watching Minter, Conti, Vincent. If they start fighting with each other, that's good news for Nick Ottinger. The Minter crew talking over the radio, Blake, James Pike letting us know from pit road that they're starting to think about what happens when Conti gets to us. Conti's the fastest car right now of those inside the top 3. So the 8's going to be getting to the 33 soon. Obviously, Minter's not going to pull over, make it easy for Mike Conti, but the more he can make his life difficult, that's going to give Nick Ottinger that much more breathing room. If you're Michael Conti trying to win this race, that pass on the 33 needs to happen quick.
Well, it does, and if I'm Tucker Minter, I'm maybe thinking of a different approach with Michael Conti. If you're Tucker, all you care about right now is winning. You have the points. You're going to be pretty good and pretty solidly in the top 20, so you just want to build up wins. What's your best chance of winning? It may be a caution, as there is trouble out on the racetrack into turn number 3, and oh no, it's Colin Bowden. Had a little bit of contact as he was running in the 14th position, and this is going to change everything here.
Tough break, the slightest of touches, and Colin Bowden is around off of turn number 2, and now we're not worried about drivers close it in because we can hit the reset button, and this thing is going to heat up. Report from pit road is that Nick Ottinger coming in from the race lead, and there they go. They hit the access road for the money stop. Blake, they haven't burned up their tire allotment. I assume you're going to go for 34 laps on the tires. Is it a consistent call across the board?
Absolutely. I think we've seen that 2 tires, 4 tires is not the call. You're going to have to take 4. And oh, by the way, a couple of those cars that didn't pit, Bose, Bowden, all them, they gained a little bit of track position, and they saved a set of tires. Don't really know if this late, if that'll help, but you never know.
Well, you can see the 75 in the box. Right sides go up first, then left side. So it appears that it is going to be 4 tires throughout. Let's see what happened to Colin Bowden. He enters turn number 1 all on his own. And then the faster number 20 approaches from behind. That's Tinsley. And just a slight touch, and that thing was shaking off the corner till it went around.
Well, it was out of shape, and again, I love Colin, but I think he wasn't, he was kind of looking for the car to be a little bit sideways, if you know what I'm saying. Got tagged a little bit, and we've seen a lot of great saves tonight, and I wouldn't say necessarily that he was all but trying to save it. I don't know. We'll get a good look right here. So
yeah, let's see.
Tinsley off the corner. Bowden's a little bit high. And, Tinsley definitely gives him the tap. But, yeah, I think that's one of those situations where, I got hit. I don't know what you want me to do. I tried to save it, but I don't know.
Yeah, there was contact and a car spun. Those are 2 factual statements. Let's watch it again. I mean, he certainly gets it. 69's a little bit out of shape as is. There's the touch, and then only 1 or 2 twitches. 20 gets into it, but yeah, maybe a situation where, cars on old tires, you've been stretching it, trying to stay out, and you get a little bit of help, and car goes where it goes.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no SMT data in this series, is there?
Denny can't be tweeting nothing, or I don't know. Who's the Denny Hamlin of eNASCAR Twitter to be tweeting SMT? So it's a tough break there for Nick Ottinger because he was in control of this race. Now we reset And it's an even playing field, Blake, right? We had Conti, we had Mullis previous, you had, a bunch of different drivers, Minter, Lopez, all in the mix. We get the yellow, it's a reset, it's a fair race. They couldn't get to Nick Ottinger straight up the first time, second time, third time. So why would this time be any different? How nervous does Nick Ottinger have to be?
I think he has to be pretty nervous being this far back. He loses this much track position on pit road. A bunch of guys came down pit road and took 2 tires, so we'll see if that works out. Garrett Maines stayed out. I mean, he, again, is probably turning his day around, but we saw how that worked out earlier. It didn't work out very well. 26-lap older tires, not going to fare too great for Garrett, but he'll try to hang on as long as he can. And if we kind of get this run where we get a bunch of yellows, the tires get worn, the heat cycles, it may work out for Garrett, but I don't see him hanging on to the lead for very long.
And, of course, to stay up to date with everything this season, to look at the upcoming schedule, keep up with the point standings, and, again, info on how you could one day qualify to be in this series, all of that and more at iRacing.com/eNASCAR. And, of course, we talk about all the fun racing action. Well, it's not just here on the iRacing service. The World of Outlaws dirt racing video game is available now for Xbox One, the Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5. So if you're a fan of the dirt stuff as well, we got plenty of it here on the iRacing service. To get your console fix as well. I'm going to look over to my timing screen and again recap what happened or what didn't happen on pit road. So no pit stop for Garrett Maines. He becomes the race leader. We have 5 cars, first 5 off pit road. On 2, it's going to be Minter, Lopez, Leahy, White, and Cozy. Ottinger, the first car out on 4 fresh tires, going to be 7th for the race start. Then Wilson took 2, and then it's 4 tires from there on back for Vincent, for Conti, Salas, King, and Olat and company. So it is the healthy dose of 2 versus 4. Ottinger, the lead car on 4. Can he get through the chaos and get to the finish line? Pace car down and in. Restart will come with 13 laps to go. From Madison, Illinois, Maines in control to the inside on 28 lap-old tires, green flag in the air.
Oh, and a huge checkup as Steven Wilson tried to get rolling. He tried to time the restart, wasn't able to do it. Maines is going to lead the field into 1, but it's all going to be about what happens behind them as a huge crash. Caden Honeycutt, several others involved in the middle portion of the field. Cody Bias noses it into the wall, and caution is out. Maines is going to maintain the lead.
Well, that pun was better executed than turn 1 because they went 5-6 wide, and it was not a chance that one was going to work out. And I think you mentioned it, right? It started with the checkup. The checkup really kind of boiled over when the 95 ended up in the middle of 3 wide. And listen, if it's lap 1, I like to think that, cars are checking up that hard. We're probably lifting to make it through the corner. But when cars in front of you are checking up and slamming on the brakes with, 13 laps to go in the race, everybody sees it as an opportunity to make up spots. And that's why the accident happens here. Again, the checkup's going to happen ahead of the 95, but the 95 is the key because it's where it kind of boils over, right? Checkup there. Hands up to the middle. No one's lifting, right? 48's going to the middle. 77's going high. We're 5 wide. Yeah, Mullis, the 17, the 46 get together. No one's lifted at that point.
No, absolutely not. And again, that's 2 teammates getting together right there. And Zach Novak, Jimmy Mullis, Caden Honeycutt, I mean, he had nowhere to go. He's stuck on the outside wall. And, I mean, if you want to take it, they're kind of a scattered, you could call it 5 wide right there. Which, again, just not a high probability of seeing the other side of that corner with that happening. But this is this is kind of what Garrett Maines wants. He wants these wrecks to happen before anybody can get a run. Minter, Lopez, Leahy, they all got such a better restart off the corner than he did that it's really going to help him. But unfortunately, we're going to catch up here with Jimmy Mullis, who has been a great competitor up at the front these last 2 weeks. But Jimmy, I mean, we kind of saw it there. Anything, you could have done different with that stack up there?
I don't know, man. Honestly, Blake, I probably, looking back, I should have blocked where Caden went or something. I don't even know. I haven't seen it. Just sucks to be facing the outside wall into turn 1 2 weeks in a row. This week, a little bit less of my doing, I feel like, probably. So that stings, but I shouldn't have been where I was. Was running up front, with Nick and Conti there for a while, and under pit cycles, I missed pit entry. Just overcooked it. So put myself in the hornet's nest, and that's what'll happen to you in these races. So unfortunate, but we'll try again in 2 weeks.
All right, tough deal for you, Jimmy. Hope to see you back soon.
Yep, thank you.
Well, Blake, these drivers are thinking about the championship. We talked about wins versus points, right? So far tonight, coming into tonight, 5 different race winners. Highest driver without a win, Nick Ottinger, would be 6th in the standings. Jordy Lopez 7th. Jordy's crew actively talking about, listen, if Garrett Maines wins this race, this is bad for us. Garrett's behind Jordy in the points, but a win would put him up. It would knock Jordy from 7th to 8th. Again, 1 more spot closer to that P10 cutoff. So if you think that, inside of the bubble that is the race, that these drivers aren't thinking about who could win and what the circumstance would be, you're wrong. And there it is. Again, with the 12 leading, he would jump up with a win. It would kick that 3 down to P8. It's not what Jordy Lopez's team wants. They would much rather have a repeat winner. I think we got race leader Garrett Maines dialed up.
Garrett Maines, a big call to stay out here. What are kind of your thoughts? I know you got exactly what you wanted there with a quick caution, but you're still on 26 lap old tires, so I know you got to be nervous, but what's kind of the feeling for you here approaching this next restart?
Well, I've already accepted. We're not winning this race. I mean, if they really want to continue to wreck for the remaining 10 laps and then 3 green, white checkers, sure. We could start talking about a potential win, but honestly, I'm just trying to, salvage a better finish than a top 20. I mean, we kind of screwed ourselves at the start by getting some nose damage before the race even started. I mean, that's about as bad as it gets. So
yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I looked away for a split second and they stopped in front of me. So that was pretty dumb on my part. But yeah, just trying to make the best of it here. And this is a Hail Mary, but honestly, I don't think there was a better call for us. So.
All right. Well, if you want to go see his vantage point, twitch.tv/Garrett Maines, I believe is the Twitch link?
Garrett Maines 1, yes.
Garrett Maines 1. All right. Well, you could see it from out front here with 9 laps to go. Garrett, good luck.
Well, he's going to try to wrap this one up with the Hail Mary strategy call. Again, it's been Nick Ottinger's night. He gains a spot in that very short green flag run. Is it good or bad, though? It puts him from the inside of row number 4 to the outside of row 3. So Ottinger, first car with 4 fresh tires, will be starting from the number 6 spot. This time, it's going to say 8 laps to go at the start-finish line. Maines, no tires. Going up against a handful of 2s all around him to the exit of the restart zone. He puts the right foot down. Green flag back in the air, and it's a good jump. It'll be a car length to turn 1. Lopez to the inside of Minter for P2.
Cozy's able to get clear of that 3rd lane. Ottinger gets checked up by Keegan Leahy. That's not going to help him. The battle's going to be between the 2 tire cars, both Team Dillon Esports cars side by side. And you know what? Garrett Maines is managing pretty well on those old tires, but Minter going to look for the lead top side into turn 3.
Minter looked to the outside, but he overcooked it a little bit, missed the entry to turn 3, and here comes Jordy Lopez Jr. to the inside, but no! Caution behind. Maines will maintain the race lead.
And it's going to be Derek Bordeaux, Cody Bias, a couple of others you could see there off of turn 4. A huge stack up in the back of the field. Again, running for about 28th, 27th or so. But what that does to the front of the field is it kind of shifts things around a little bit more, as Maines still the race leader. I mean, again, he conceded that he wasn't going to win this race. He definitely has an opportunity to do so. And then Lopez swapped in front of Minter, and I believe Michael Cozy Jr. will have 3rd behind Garrett Maines. So this shifts things around a little bit, and I think if you're Team Dillon, you got to be feeling pretty good. Both of your cars on the outside line trying to get around old tires that, well, if we're only going to go 1 lap, Evan, it may not matter so much.
Yeah, it may not. And as we take a second look, it's going to be 2 wide underneath the 1, but it's not there the whole corner, right? The 14's ahead, and he loses a little bit, and I think it was just a scenario of trying to get down in front of the 31 before he could get there, but the time that 1 made that a little bit of a movement down to the inside touch, and it goes off. But I would like to think that Garrett's got more confidence that he let on, Blake. I feel like if you get interviewed from the lead on a strategy call like that, is we get a look at the perspective from Falkingham off of the corner. There's the contact up the road. And as the racetrack gets blocked, they're bouncing off the wall. He's the smart guy who hits the brakes and checks up. But I feel like if you're being interviewed and you're leading the race, not saying that you're going to win the race is kind of like not touching the Prince of Wales trophy, right? Like, you don't want to jinx it, right? You don't want to jinx it. And Garrett's in a really good spot, I'd say, all things considered, is let's dial up Jordi Lopez and get a word from him.
Jordi Lopez Jr., we've talked to him several times with the position to win this race, but Jordi, you've worked yourself into a position here. You're going to restart on the front row. You have fresh tires. I know it's a long journey to get up here to the Coke Series and try to get your first win, but what's kind of going through your mind right now with a couple laps to go and that being a real possibility?
I'm just frustrated. I was side by side with him before the caution came out. I just needed like half a straightaway. But I'm going to just try to time it perfectly, I guess. And I know that we're faster, so we just need one lap. I'm going to try to keep it clean, though, because we're in a good points position, and that's the main goal.
Do you have anything to say here about your teammate behind you? He has a couple of wins. I know Team Dillon, you guys have been firing on all cylinders this year. Any coordination maybe with your teammate here to maybe try and get both you guys in a victory lane?
Not really. Tucker's smart. Me and him both know that we're trying to get as much points as possible. He's not going to risk anything, and I'm not either. So we know also to not drive each other too hard and to give each other space so we don't get involved in like on-track incidences and stuff like that.
All right, Jordi. Well, we'll let you get back to it. Good luck, and maybe we'll be talking to you here in a few minutes.
Okay, man. Thank you.
Blake, it reminds me of the yellow very early in this race where Nick Ottinger was seemingly about to be overtaken on the initial start of the race. Yellow comes out right before and is able to kind of shore up his track position, and then he goes on to dominate the opening half of this race. How critical will the timing of that yellow be for Garrett Maines? It's basically as much as you want, right? You want to burn as much time possible as soon as they're getting the yellow. You don't want the yellow too quick. You don't want it too late. He's going to have to do 3 laps to be able to win this one. One last reminder to scan the QR code at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen if you want all the latest news and updates from around the world of eNASCAR. Then scan the QR code and sign up today with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. 3 to go, Blake. Do we get it done here, or are we going to need some extracurriculars?
I think, yeah, I would not be surprised if perhaps we go into overtime here, but we have to watch the launch that Garrett Maines is going to get. He's going to launch out of the restart zone, have a lead off of 2. How the rest of the field funnels behind him is really what this is going to come down to. Are they too wide? Are the Team Dillon cars pushing each other? Does Cozy make a move? Cozy has a chance to win this as well. Does he make a move to the bottom 3 wide? There's a lot to happen here, and even Parker White, he could be somebody that visits victory lane for the first time tonight.
Pace car off it in 3 laps to go for the number 12 of Garrett Maines. The 3 of Lopez, 2 fresher tires on the outside. Is that enough for the Coca-Cola Chevrolet? Green flag in the air with 3 laps to go. It's a good jump for Cozy. He'll drive up the inside of the 3 car. Right now they fight for second as Maines tries to hang on 4 wide behind.
Cozy's going to have to get the run and try to block Lopez up into the outside wall. They're going to wreck behind them, though, and they're not going to have the opportunity. Minter is around. Hard crash for Alan Bowes into the opening here on the back straightaway. Bobby Zielinski, Jimmy Mullis's rough night continues, and we are going to go to overtime. And Garrett Maines, he said he wasn't going to win it earlier. He might have his chance, and Cozy is going to restart on the front row with him.
For a moment there, rookies were 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th as they came off of turn number 2, and then it all fell apart literally for Tucker Minter. There were body pieces showering the back straightaway as different parts of these next-gen cars came off. You can see that 4 wide develop behind, and then up front, Minter on the outside, a little bit twitchy on his own, just tried too hard to get it off of 2, and that's not it. It's right there. Boom, big contact, 2nd hit to the outside, and there's bumpers flying and everything. There's a hood in the grass. Big mess on the backstretch, and it will push us into eNASCAR overtime. Here's the perspective from Caden Honeycutt.
Just a sea of cars in front of him, a little bit of smoke, and you know what? I got to say, a pretty great job of driving through that one for Caden Honeycutt.
Well, let's get the perspective of Tucker Minter. Blake, he was that close to maybe a third win of the year, and he wrecks out inside the top 5.
That he does as he goes from restarting up in the top 5, looking for his third win. Unfortunately, not meant to be tonight, but Tucker, kind of what happened there from your perspective as you kind of slid off of turn 2 there?
Yeah, it's just super unfortunate. We had such a great global industrial Team Dillon Esports Chevy there. It was awesome to run the patriotic livery we won with at Charlotte last week again. I felt like we did a great job maximizing our pace, drove from 21st, and we were going to finish 3rd there without the cautions. And I felt like 2 tires was the call to win the race. And then when Garrett stayed out, I still felt like we were in the best spot. But it's just so tricky when you only have 1 lap to get something done before they wreck behind you that you have to be all over it. And we kind of took a big swing on the adjustment there to, hopefully make the 2 tires work really well, and I think we might have overstepped it, but in the end, it's my fault. I got loose off the corner, and there's not a lot of grip out there, and I just got loose and didn't pedal it in time, and ended up getting caught up in a wreck and causing it, I suppose.
Well, tough luck for you, but again, you have 2 wins to sit back on and a lot to look forward to in terms of a very likely postseason spot. Tucker, look forward to talking with you a little bit later and hopefully under better circumstances.
Yeah, talk to you soon, Blake. Thanks.
So there's the thoughts from Tucker Minter as he drops down to the end. Let's walk you through the procedures for eNASCAR overtime. We will get up to 3 attempts to finish this race under green. We will take the green and the 2 to go at the same time. If we make it all the way around this 1.25 mile speedway to the white flag, this race will be official. It will end no matter what. If the yellow comes before the white flag, we rack them and stack them and try again.
Been through the procedures several times, and again, not going to have to worry. I wonder, though, with Garrett Maines, actually, no, fuel ain't going to be an issue for him if he filled up all the way. Again, we know drivers like to short fuel and do a couple things when he pit with about 40 laps to go as we continue going. But again, don't imagine that'll be an issue for Garrett Maines. As we'll catch up here, I believe, with Parker White, one of 4 drivers, Evan, that are in the top 4 that have never won in this series. Parker, I know you got a lot of work ahead of you, but what do you think you have to get done here to try and end up in victory lane for the first time?
Yeah, I think we're going to need a lot of luck here. I know Garrett's on old tires, so we'll just try to take advantage of that. And as long as I can just work the lines right, I think I'll be in a good spot.
As far as your focus here, I know definitely being a rookie in this series, there's a lot you have to learn. Anything that you've kind of collected from earlier in the season to kind of prepare you for moments like this?
Yeah, just trying to stay calm is the biggest thing. Just when you're racing a competition that's this competitive, it's kind of hard to stay calm. And just staying calm and just being focused is helping it a lot.
Well, you have me convinced that you're pretty calm here, starting on the outside of the second row here. We'll let you get back to it. Good luck, Parker.
Yep, thank you.
Parker's going to find himself to the outside of row number 2 in the number 4 spot. Garrett Maines, in his 3rd season of eNASCAR competition, career start number 46, on track tonight in search of career race win number 1 for the number 12 Ford. He's got Cozy, Lopez, all with better tires than him as they made that 2-tire decision. Conti, Ottinger, they still got the 4. Don't forget about them. They are 5th and 6th and make up row number 3. Pace car off and in. Green flag in the air. 2 laps to go.
Maines gets a good jump. Cozy not the launch that I'm sure he would have wanted. He'll have the high side into 1 and 2. Now it just depends on where Maines ends up here on the back straightaway. He checks up a little bit, but Maines will have the drive off the corner. Cozy gets loose, though, and they'll stack up 3 wide behind him.
It's good news for Maines. 3-1 in the battle for 3rd. Only Lopez is clear as Conti, White, and Cozy do battle behind. Here comes the 3 car now. 3 wide behind. Can they get to the white off at turn 4? Still the race lead. Garrett Maines blocks. 1 lap to go.
Jordy Lopez Jr. looking for his first career win. Same for Garrett Maines, but Michael Conti drives it in deep behind him. Garrett Maines in front of the field slides. They're going to crash behind him as Maines takes the rest of the field with him, but it is is Lopez trying to hold off Conti down the back straightaway.
Lopez has got 2 tires. Conti's got 4. Final turn. Conti to the back bumper, but there is no shot. The 3 goes deep. There's the contact now. The bump and run. Side by side. Beating and banging all the way to the line. And Jordy Lopez is an eNASCAR winner for the first time ever.
They got stuck together, and he pulls it out by 4 1/1000ths of a second, just by a nose of his Chevrolet Camaro. And you can see the reaction as he gets his first career eNASCAR win. What a finish.
Another rookie in victory lane, and he had one of the very best on the bumper, Blake. Mike Conti didn't put the bumper to him into 3. He let Lopez think the hit was coming then. Jordy drove it deep. Conti hit him late, and they drove each other all the way to the line. What a celebration as he's going to burn it down on the front straightaway. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and it is the Coca-Cola Chevrolet of Jordy Lopez Jr. First career win in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, how about we look at the Coca-Cola move of the race? It's all here, coming down to the last lap of this race. Mike Conti is way back in 3rd. There's the block by the 12. Main's block slow. Then Main comes up the racetrack. Lopez is alongside, and I think he tries to go for the undercut here. There's certainly contact. Mains gets moved out of the way, but then Conti's coming fast.
Yeah, I think Lopez barely just mistimes that, but he had such a run. He goes low. Contact with Garrett Main sends him into the rest of the field. But you know what? Props to Michael Conti here for trying to get this done, I think, about as clean as you can. They lean on each other. He tries to get the run off the corner. Lopez is expecting it. They block, and here Lopez is thinking, you are not going to take this race win from me, and he sticks with them, not allowing him to get away. He knew he had the advantage on the drag race down to the line, and at the end of it all, Jordy Lopez Jr. gets his first career eNASCAR win. And Jordy, we can see the tears falling. How much does this win mean to you?
You have no idea. I mean, like, I started in 2013. I was always trying to get to the series and do the things that I'm doing now. I just can't believe it. It's just so many years of frustration, and it's finally paying off.
Well, you've put yourself in position to win so many times. You're now locked into the postseason. You're our 6th winner this year. How does this change your outlook for the rest of the season? I know you've been great so far, but having that win, what kind of comfort does that provide kind of moving forward here with just a handful of races left before the playoffs?
I'm definitely more comfortable for sure. I want to just continue doing the same thing that I'm doing, so that way I'm not like unprepared or like whatever for like the playoffs. So I'm gonna just do the same routine and just continue to try to get the best results possible, because I'm still going for the team for the team's championship. So yeah.
I know that means a lot to you, but Jordy, we'll let you go celebrate with your friends and family. Congratulations. You're a Coke Series winner, Jordy. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Jordy Lopez Jr., your winner tonight, but it was almost a third tonight for Michael Conti. He comes up just a bit short in trying to win that one. And Conti, I know you have a lot of debrief kind of going on here in a couple of minutes, but kind of talk us through turns 3 and 4. You have the better tires there on Jordy Lopez Jr. How are you trying to approach the 3 car to get the job done? But I think in typical Michael Conti fashion, get it done in a clean way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to go up there and dump somebody because I feel entitled to win or anything like that. I mean, the guys on 2 tires did a really good job positioning themselves, and the cautions played their way. But I knew if we would just get like 3 laps with some good brakes, I could do it. And they had some problems in 1 and 2. I got a really good restart. And I just wanted to give Jordy a nudge just to kind of get him a little bit upset with those old tires, and I did. And, we just locked together coming out of the front stretch, and like Kurt Busch, Ricky Craven, Darlington fashion. And I thought I was just ahead of him, but it's so hard to tell when you're in the car. And in hindsight, I probably should have pulled away from him, but nonetheless, great run for the WR1 car. This is not a good track for me. So kudos to the Team Conti guys, everybody that made this happen, Junior Motorsports. We had a great car, and they knew we were here. But congrats to Jordy, long time coming, but he definitely deserved it.
Well, Michael, I know you announced some news today. It's not just virtual racing, you may be hanging that up, but I know you got some real-world driving to look forward to, driving a super modified a little bit later on this year. How excited are you for that?
I mean, I'm stoked. It's a unique deal because Oswego Speedway is not in the sim, and that type of super modified isn't on the sim either. So I'm going to kind of go in a little bit blind, but one of my personal sponsors, Martin PC, Brian Haynes, has been a huge supporter of mine this year. He's opened a lot of doors, and this is just yet another opportunity that I wouldn't have without him. So I'm super excited to go up to Oswego, see how I do in that super mod. Definitely going to be a learning curve, more car than I've ever driven before, but I won't say no to an opportunity behind the wheel of a race car. So looking forward to putting the sim away for a couple days and trying my hand at some real racing. So July 7th, Oswego Speedway. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. I was hearing in my ear, ask him when if he doesn't say when. But
July 7th. There you go. Everybody
slid it in there the last second. All right. Michael,
right.
Congratulations finishing second tonight.
Thanks, man.
Michael Conti brings it home in second tonight. Meanwhile, Parker White restarted fourth on that final go, but for Tony Kanaan, he brings it home in the third position. A great run for you here tonight, Parker, and a good way to stamp off what was the end of a crazy race there for you.
Yeah, I was just hoping for that race to go green, but I was just I knew that there was going to be a yellow there, so I knew I had to take 2 tires to get the track stitching, because at Darlington, they had a caution. I took 4. That put me way in the back, so decided to switch it up, and it worked out. And I thought I was in a really good spot there to win it, which I was. And then Garrett got turned in turn 1, and I just knew I had to go high and hope that he didn't come back up the track. So just had to put myself in a really good position there throughout the entire race, and I did that. So that was just perfectly executed.
I know you were one of the drivers coming in that were, somewhat close to that top 20 cut line, not only for that win, but for being able to stay in this series, being able to have a presence and to move on to next year. This race certainly goes a long way in improving that for you. Just kind of talk about that and, how much does it really help kind of at this portion of the year to have these strong runs and be able to build up that cushion to where maybe you can be more aggressive in chasing a race wins and not having to worry about your future in this series.
Yeah, my main goal coming into this season was just to stay top 20 in points and just not have to be relegated down a contender. And I'm just going to try to keep doing that through the rest of the season. And now with this P3, I was P14 coming in, I think, and that's going to really help me out. So just trying to stay consistent is a big thing. And then once I feel more comfortable, then it's time to go for wins then.
All right, Parker. Well, hopefully we'll see you going after wins here very shortly. Congratulations on your first eNASCAR podium tonight.
Let's chat with our top 3 finishers. We take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results. Jordy Lopez Jr. gets his first career win, just squeaking it out ahead of Michael Conti, who is in search of number 3 on the year. Parker White comes home 3rd. Lowe, Boland, Olot, Wilson, Cozy, Busa, Tinsley. Your top 10.
That's the top 10 again. Much of the running order somewhat decided by that last lap crash. You could see Dylan Duvall. Colin Bowden rebounds for 12th after being involved in his late race incident. You could see the gap spread out. A lot of cars just escaping the chaos here late in the going. Derek Bordeaux, how many times do we see him around? He ends up in the top 20.
He ends up there. A couple of guys who started up front trickle down. You had Cody Bice, who started 3rd. He finishes this race in 26th. Keegan Leahy started 5th. Led a lap. He finishes in 28th. And there's Garrett Maines at the end of it all, P30.
Well, he conceded and didn't think he was going to win, but certainly had a shot at the end there to get his first finish. And well, that wraps it up. A couple of more drivers having some rough luck here in the back.
And a tough break for Jimmy Mullis and co. We talked to Donovan Strauss earlier in the night, 85 down. He will round out the field in the number 40 position. But we're not only past halfway on the regular season, we're past halfway this year. 4 races left to go before the playoffs, Blake, and it is a first ever street course race in 2 weeks' time on the streets of Chicago.
We visited this before in the All-Star race in years past, but nice to see it finally return in points competition, and certainly going to be a learning experience for all of us involved as we prep for the NASCAR Cup Series Chicago Street Course race, but certainly going to be great to see this series not only race on it, but pay out some points as well.
And it's going to be an exciting one that kicks off a string of Chicago, Nashville, New Hampshire, Pocono, and before you know it, in, basically exactly 2 months' time, we're starting to fight for the championship right here on Tuesday nights. Until next time, though, that is it for us here tonight from Wide Technology Raceway. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, eNASCAR, for our partners at Coca-Cola, everybody behind the scenes who makes tonight possible, and for your broadcast team tonight. For Blake McCandless, I'm Evan Pasoko. Thanks for tuning in, and congratulations to another first-time winner, Jordy Lopez Jr., this time around as he claims his first career win, the 63rd different driver in series history to find a victory lane. The road to $300,000 continues in 2 weeks' time. That's Tuesday, June 27th, from the streets of Chicago. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found right here on eNASCAR.com. Until next time, good night from Madison.